Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 3 of our story. If you like this What If story and want to see part 4, let me know in the comments below. Before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also, check the description for more great content and my playlist. This story was posted by HansenTheMan on Wattpad. Now let's start. The lights came back on and Izuku teleported Eri and Kota back into the theater. "Come with me everyone," said Luke. He brought them back into the cafeteria, where there was once again birthday decorations everywhere. "Happy birthday, Eri!" shouted Luke. "Time and space difference?" asked everyone. "Time and space difference," said Luke. After that they had a huge party. They played games, showered Eri with love and affection, and she was so happy. Everyone was having a great time, save for Overhaul, who was locked in another room being tortured, which made Eri even more happy. For at the end they all sang Eri happy birthday and she blew the candles on the cake. After that they all gave Eri presents. "Here you go, Eri," said Kota as he handed Eri a present. Eri opened it to see that it was a Deku plushie. "3, thank you, Kota," said Eri before kissing him on the cheek, making Kota blush up a storm. 6, "Oh," said everyone. After that they went back into the theater. The lights went on again. "To the cafeteria," said Luke. They entered the cafeteria where there was once again birthday decorations everywhere. "Happy birthday, 𝗧𝗏𝗄," said Luke. "Didn't we just celebrate Eri's birthday like an hour ago?" asked 𝗧𝗏𝗄. "And a few hours before that we celebrated mine and Togata's birthday," asked Izuku. "And then a few hours before that we sort of celebrated my birthday," asked Bakugo. "Look, I've been busy with stuff in my world, okay? From my point of view, Eri's birthday was 5 days ago, Izuku's and Mirio's was 5 months ago, and Bakugo's was 8 months ago. But now in my world it's 𝗧𝗏𝗄's birthday and we're gonna celebrate it," said Luke. After that they had the birthday party. Everyone had tons of fun, they played games, ate food, and had a great time. 𝗧𝗏𝗄 cried tears of joy now that she finally got to have a real birthday party. Before this her birthday wasn't that exciting because her family couldn't afford to do something fun, but now that she was here in Luke's pocket dimension, she finally could have a real birthday. After that they sang 𝗧𝗏𝗄 happy birthday and she blew out the candles on the birthday cake. Then everyone gave 𝗧𝗏𝗄 gifts. "Here you go, mommy. I hope you like it," said Eri as she handed 𝗧𝗏𝗄 a wrapped present. 𝗧𝗏𝗄 opened it to see that it was a painting of her, Eri, and Izuku all holding hands together. It was clear that Eri made it because of it looked like something a child would make, but she still loved it. "Do you like it?" "I made it myself," said Eri. 𝗧𝗏𝗄 kissed Eri on the horn making her giggle. "I love it, sweetie," said 𝗧𝗏𝗄. "Here you go, 𝗧𝗏𝗄. I hope you like it," said Izuku as he handed her a small box. 𝗧𝗏𝗄 opened it to see that it was a bracelet. Where did you get this?" asked 𝗧𝗏𝗄. "I had Luke make it for me," said Izuku. "Yeah, you're welcome," said Luke. 𝗧𝗏𝗄 started crying. "Oh my god, 𝗧𝗏𝗄. Did you not like it?" "I can have Luke make something else," said Izuku. "No, silly, these are tears of joy," said 𝗧𝗏𝗄 smiling. She then stared, kissing Izuku repeatedly. "I love it so much, thank you," said 𝗧𝗏𝗄. "Why, you're welcome." "Happy birthday, babe," said Izuku. "Alright, let's go back to the theater," said Luke. "Okay, now we're gonna have another meme break," said Luke. "Alright," said Mina and Kirishima. "What the hell is this supposed to be?" said the League while everyone else laughed. "What the hell is this supposed to be?" said the League while everyone else laughed. "What the hell is this supposed to be?" said the League while everyone else laughed. "Translates to, there must be a hidden message somewhere," said Luke. "It does?" asked Izuku. "Well, that's what Google Translate said," said Luke. 5 Todoroki looked at Izuku, 𝗧𝗏𝗄, and Eri. "Todoroki no," said Izuku. 4 This is you girls if you were in old school anime style, said Luke. 15 This is you girls if you were in old school anime style, said Luke. 4 Cute, said Izuku, Todoroki, and Tokoyami. 1 Cute, said Izuku, Todoroki, and Tokoyami. "Is that really what I look like sometimes?" asked Izuku. "Yep," said Luke. "Midoriya, I didn't mean that part," said All Might. 3 Midoriya, I didn't mean that part, said All Might. "Demon right we do," said Izuku, Bakugo, Todoroki, Kaminari, Kirishima, and Tokoyami while hugging their girlfriends, while Mineta cried tears of BLD5, Demon right we do, said Izuku, Bakugo, Todoroki, Kaminari, Kirishima, and Tokoyami while hugging their girlfriends, while Mineta cried tears of BLD8, Demon right we do, said Izuku, Bakugo, Todoroki, Kaminari, Kirishima, and Tokoyami while hugging their girlfriends, while Mineta cried tears of BLD10, what the hell? Said the class, all. Might, and Aizawa. This is truly cursed, said Tokoyami. 2. This is truly cursed, said Tokoyami. 3. So true, said Ochako while hugging Izuku. She is my hero, said Izuku while hugging Ochako, while Bakugo was now scared. She is my hero, said Izuku while hugging Ochako, while Bakugo was now scared. She is my hero, said Izuku while hugging Ochako, while Bakugo was now scared. 3. You better call me Tsu, said Tsu while holding up her shoe. 10. You better call me Tsu, said Tsu while holding up her shoe. This has actually happened to me. I don't know how but it did, said Bakugo. 5. I don't know how but it did, said Bakugo. 3. This has also happened. Occasionally Mike is outside my house at 3 in the morning screaming at me with his quirk, said Aizawa. Occasionally Mike is outside my house at 3 in the morning screaming at me with his quirk, said Aizawa. 14. This has also happened. I still don't know what it means, said All Might. All Might you can't adopt Midoriya, he has a mom, said Aizawa. All Might you can't adopt Midoriya, he has a mom, said Aizawa. 5. Try and stop me, said All Might. 11. We also tried doing that, said Twice. We also tried doing that, said Twice. 4. We also tried doing that, said Twice. What? Said Dabi. America got a new president recently, and around that same time it was revealed that you were Tuya Todoroki in the manga, said Luke. 9. America got a new president recently, and around that same time it was revealed that you were Tuya Todoroki in the manga, said Luke. 2. Most people burst out laughing, while Class 1, Mirio, Overhaul, Izuku, All for One, and All Might were all very scared. 1. Most people burst out laughing, while Class 1, Mirio, Overhaul, Izuku, All for One, and All Might were all very scared. 18. What the, said Dabi. Toga tried to reach under Dabi's skin, but Dabi slapped her hand away. 1. It's not true, it's a meme, said Dabi. 1. Indeed. Izucha and Tadamomo are great ships. Kachako makes no sense whatsoever, said All Might. 5. Indeed. Izucha and Tadamomo are great ships. Kachako makes no sense whatsoever, said All Might. Izuku, Eri, Shigaraki and most of the audience laughed, while Overhaul was annoyed. Izuku, Eri, Shigaraki and most of the audience laughed, while Overhaul was annoyed. I'm not dead. I just lost my arms, he managed to say. 2. Luke teleported in front of Overhaul and slapped him in the face. Quiet you, he said before teleporting back onto the stage. Quiet you, he said before teleporting back onto the stage. I made this one myself, said Luke. 4. It's appealing, said Ochako. Midoriya don't use a gun, said All Might. 5. Midoriya don't use a gun, said All Might. 7. There was once a time when I had to kill one of my other selves. 1. There was once a time when I had to kill one of my other selves. It did not go well, said Twice. It went great, said Twice in his other personality. Demon right, said Mitsuki. 7. Demon right, said Mitsuki. 19. I was up for hours every night after I found out Deku had a quirk, said Bakugo. I was up for hours every night after I found out Deku had a quirk, said Bakugo. I was up for hours every night after I found out Deku had a quirk, said Bakugo. I am not, said Bakugo. You pretty much are, said Luke. 9. Holy CRP we are, said Siro, Kirishima, and Kaminari. 6. Holy CRP we are, said Siro, Kirishima, and Kaminari. Holy CRP we are, said Siro, Kirishima, and Kaminari. 4. I deserve this, said Endeavor. How am I, father? Asked Gran Torino. I guess you sort of guided All Might and Izuku in a fatherly way, said Luke. How am I a dad? Asked Fat Gum. It's obvious you're like a dad to Kirishima and Tamaki, said Luke. It's obvious you're like a dad to Kirishima and Tamaki, said Luke. Said Izuku. I don't get it either. I just thought it looked cute, said Luke. 4. This is how we all are when we wake up in the morning, said Izuku. 1. This is how we all are when we wake up in the morning, said Izuku. This is how we all are when we wake up in the morning, said Izuku. This happened once when they were at the park. I know 'cause I was there with them, said Tsu. I know 'cause I was there with them, said Tsu. 13. That's not funny, said Shoto and Rei. 14. That's not funny, said Shoto and Rei. Funny story. This actually happened in an alternate universe where Bakugo was being too psychotic and they ended up having to throw him in jail, said Luke. 2. This actually happened in an alternate universe where Bakugo was being too psychotic and they ended up having to throw him in jail, said Luke. 8. That's a good question. Let me try that, Aizawa, said Monoma. Do that and you're expelled, Monoma, said Aizawa. You can't expel my student eraser. But yes, Monoma, if you try to copy his quirk and use it on him you'll be expelled by me, said Vlad King. But yes, Monoma, if you try to copy his quirk and use it on him you'll be expelled by me, said Vlad King. 21. That's not funny, said Izuku, All Might and Mirio. 7. Oh, said everyone, minus Bakugo who was grumbling. 7. Oh, said everyone, minus Bakugo who was grumbling. 14. It's okay, Katsuki. I don't mind it, said Cammy. 11. What is this witchcraft? Said Todoroki. 13. What is this witchcraft? Said Todoroki. 1. This pretty much sums up my job in the league, said Kurogyri. 3. This pretty much sums up my job in the league, said Kurogyri. This pretty much sums up my job in the league, said Kurogyri. 7. You're still supposed to save me, Aizawa, screamed Mineta. 8. Shut up, you pervert, said Aizawa. That's all the memes I got for now, said Luke. Luke came out of a portal and turned to the teachers. I think you should let Bakugo back into the hero course, he said. What? Said the teachers and Bakugo. You were the one who wanted him expelled in the first place. Now you suddenly want him back in the hero course, said Aizawa. That was before I saw Heroes Rising, said Luke. Saw what? Said Izuku. It was a movie about your adventure on Nabu Island. Which reminds me, said Luke as he snapped his fingers. Suddenly, a portal opened up and out came 𝗧𝗵𝗲, Mahoro, and their dad. 𝗧𝗵𝗲, said Izuku getting up. Mr. Deku, said 𝗧𝗵𝗲. Mahoro, said Bakugo. Mr. Bakugo, said Mahoro. Izuku ran over and hugged 𝗧𝗵𝗲, while Bakugo ran over and hugged Mahoro. Hey everyone, said 𝗧𝗵𝗲 and Mahoro's dad. Mr. Bakugo, we heard you got expelled. What happened? Asked Mahoro. It's complicated, kid, said Bakugo. Why did you bring them here, Luke? Asked Ochako. I saw how in the movie 𝗧𝗵𝗲 looked up to Izuku as his hero, and Mahoro looked up to Bakugo as hers, and I thought she deserved to see Bakugo become an official pro-hero for her to look up to, said Luke. Alright, fine. Bakugo, you're welcome to come back to class 1A. But this is your last chance, got that? If you bully Midoriya, or anyone else one more time, then you're out for good. Understood, said Nizu. Yes. Thank you, sir, said Bakugo. Alright, 𝗧𝗵𝗲, Mahoro, you two and your dad take a seat and we'll start the next universe. I invited them to watch Deku-Verse too, said Luke to the audience. After that, 𝗧𝗵𝗲, Mahoro, and their dad took their seats. Hi, I'm Eri, said Eri to 𝗧𝗵𝗲 and Mahoro. Hi, I'm Koda, said Koda to them both. Nice to meet you both, said 𝗧𝗵𝗲 and Mahoro. On with the Deku-Verse, said Luke. Okay, now this next universe is a funny one. It's based off a comedy from my world. Basically, most of you work at a paper company in America called Dunder Mifflin. And you're being filmed by a camera crew for a documentary, explained Luke. Sounds boring, said Mina. It may sound boring, but it gets hilarious. This part's from the start of one of the episodes where they have a fire drill, said Luke using air quotes. It shows Ochako sitting at the receptionist desk, but then getting up and leaving the room. At this time in the show, Ochako's the receptionist at Dunder Mifflin. She gets promoted later on in the series though, said Luke. The camera then moved to show Ida sitting there at a desk watching Ochako leave the room. He then turned to the camera crew and flicked his head to the side, telling them to move next to his desk. Ida's one of the paper salesmen at Dunder Mifflin. He's also the safety instructor for now anyway, said Luke. Ida opened the drawer in his desk to reveal a blowtorch, and some lighter fluid. He wrapped them both up in a cloth and took them out of the desk. "Why do I have those things in my desk?" asked Ida in concern. "Keep watching and you'll see," said Izuku. Ida then went into the hallway and closed the door behind him. He then put the key in the door hole and turned it, locking the door. "Last week I give a fire safety talk," we hear Ida's voice say. Ida pulled out a hammer and cleared his throat as he hit the key with it, bending the key and keeping the door locked. "Why did I just do that?" asked Ida, who was getting more and more worried as to why his alternate self was doing this. And nobody paid any attention, we hear Ida's voice say once again as it then showed him using the blowtorch to heat up the door handle. "It's my own fault for using PowerPoint," we hear Ida's voice say. "PowerPoint is boring," whispered Ida as it then cut to him standing out there in the hallway talking to the camera. People learn in lots of different ways, but experience is the best teacher," said Ida as it then cut to him using a hammer to put a bunch of wooden doorstops under the door, keeping anyone from being able to open it from the other side. Then he used the blowtorch on that door's handle as well. "So let me get this straight. I was giving a fire safety presentation and no one listened. And now I'm planning to do what exactly?" asked Ida. "Keep watching," said Luke. It then showed Ida in another hallway pouring a bunch of lighter fluid into a trash bin full of paper. He then lit a cigarette that was in his mouth. "Today smoking is gonna save lives," said Ida as he took the cigarette out of his mouth and threw it into the trash bin, causing all the paper in it to catch on fire. "What am I doing?" screamed Ida. "Giving a fire drill, you idiot," said Luke. Ida then threw the whole can of lighter fluid into the trash bin and went back into the office and sat at his desk. Ida looked around to see if anyone would notice the smoke coming in the room, but no one did. They were all too busy doing work. "Does anyone smell anything smoky?" asked Ida, hoping someone would turn their heads to see the smoke. "Did you bring your jerky in again?" asked May, who was looking at some papers. May's also an employee at 𝗬𝗏. "She's an accountant," said Luke. Some people started to smell the smoke. Ida turned to Ochako, who was now sitting back at her desk, and cleared his throat, trying to tell her that something was wrong. Ochako turned her head and saw the smoke coming in the room. "Oh my God! Oh my God!" said Ochako, getting up and pointing to the smoke. "Fire!" screamed Izawa, getting up. Izawa is also an employee at 𝗬𝗏. "He's a salesman," said Luke. "Oh fire! Oh my goodness! What's the procedure? What do we do, people?" asked Ida as he and the others got up from their seats. "This is outrageous," shouted Ida, doing his hand gestures. "It's unfair. How can you be on the council and not be a 𝗵𝗃? said Luke. "What?" said Ida. "Sorry, I'm tired," said Luke. "The phones are dead," said Ochako as she tried to use the phone, but it was no use. "Oh, how did that happen?" asked Ida, looking at the camera. "It's out in the hall," said a fat Mineta, pointing to the hallway. Mineta also works for 𝗬𝗏. "He's an accountant," said Luke. "No, we don't know that. The smoke could be coming through an air duct," said Ida. "Oh my God. Okay, it's happening. Everyone stay calm," said President Mike, coming out of his personal office. President Mike is the manager of this branch at 𝗬𝗏. "He's the boss of all of you," said Luke. "Well, we're screwed," said Izawa. "Hey, I'd be a great manager," said President Mike in his defense. "What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?" asked Ida as everyone headed to the main exit. "Everybody stay calm," said President Mike as he tried to calm everyone down, but it wasn't working. "Stay calm," screamed President Mike as he was about to grab the door handle. Wait, said Ida. "Everybody calm down," screamed President Mike. Many people couldn't help but burst out laughing. "Sorry for swearing, everyone," said Mike. "Don't. This is hilarious," said Kaminari while laughing. Mike was about to grab the door handle. No. Hisashi. Touch the handle. If it's hot, there could be a fire in the hallway," said Ida. Mike carefully placed his hand on the door handle. "What does warm mean?" he asked. People started panicking. Not a viable option. "What next?" asked Ida. "Oh my gosh, try the other door," said Ochako as everyone started running over to the other door. "Don't run," shouted Mike. Try the other door, said Izuku. Kaminari ran to the other door. Oh, here's a door. Check that one out. How's the handle? Asked Ida. It's warm, said Kaminari, feeling the door handle. Kaminari's a salesman here, said Luke. Go to the back door, said Izuku. Well, another option. Another option, said Ida, but then people started running past him and bumping into him. Geez. Okay, settle down everyone. No bunching, said Ida. Oh, I forgot my purse, said 13. Leave it, 𝗵𝗃, said Aizawa as they headed through the kitchen. Get out of the way. Go, 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 said Mike. Things can be replaced, 𝗧𝗵𝗧𝗄. People, human lives, however, can dash, said Ida as he turned to the camera, but then noticed the others were already in a different room. Ida ran after them. They all ran into the back room. Aoyama went to one door, Kaminari went to the other. They both placed their hands on the door handles. My hand. That's hot, said Aoyama as he took his hand off the handle. This one's hot too, said Kaminari, taking his hand off the handle. Okay, we're trapped. Everyone for himself, said 𝗵𝗃. Everyone started screaming and pushing and trying to go to the other room. They ran back into the main office and knocked the camera down. Come please, said Ida as he tried to calm everyone down. Get out of the way, said Kaminari. Have you ever seen a burn victim? Asked Ida as they went back into the office to see that there was now smoke everywhere. Move it, screamed Kaminari, pushing the cameraman out of the way. Procedure. Exit options. Where do we go, folks? What? Use a what to cover the mouth? Asked Ida. It then cut to Mei opening a drawer next to her desk, revealing a cat in a bed. It's okay, said Mei as she picked the cat up. That's Mei's cat, Bandit. She's a cat person in this universe. Funny story, the cat's name was originally Garbage, but it's a long story, said Luke. What? A rag. A damp rag perhaps, said Ida. It then cut to Aoyama standing on top of his desk and removing one of the panels in the ceiling, and Mei noticed this. Let's remember those procedures. What are the options? Asked Ida as he tried to get everyone's attention, but they were too busy trying to escape. Mineta ran past Ida, back into the break room. Okay, that's the wrong way. We've already tried that. Remember your exit points. Exit points, people, said Ida. Aoyama removed the ceiling panel and climbed into the ceiling. Yuga, said Mei as she walked over to see what Aoyama was doing. Stay alive. I'm getting help, said Aoyama from the ceiling. Pull me up, said Mei. You're too heavy, said Aoyama. I only weigh 82 pounds, said Mei. One Aoyama ignored her and disappeared into the ceiling. Save Bandit, shouted Mei as she threw the cat up there with him, but it just fell through another ceiling panel. Oh no, the cat, screamed Aizawa. Said Mei as she ran over to her cat. How about 911? Anyone? 911 said Ida. You disabled the phone lines, Ida. How are we supposed to call 911? Said Izuku while laughing. I don't know, said Ida. Mike was in the meeting room tearing the blinds off one of the windows. He then threw a chair at the window, trying to break it open, but it just bounced off. It then cut to Mineta throwing a chair into the vending machine in the break room, shattering the glass window. He then started filling his pockets with the snacks in there. Mineta's a pig in this universe, said Luke. Well, at least he's not a pervert, said Momo. Oh, he's still a pervert. Just not as much of a pervert as he is in your universe, said Luke. It then cut back to Ida and the others in the main room. What do we do? Said Ochako. Use the surge of fear and adrenaline to sharpen your decision-making, said Ida pointing at her. That's a terrible idea, Tenya, said Tensei. Okay, I am not dying here. Come on, said Izuku to Ochako. Izuku's also a salesman. He and Ochako are now dating at this point in the show, said Luke. Ida then lit a firecracker and threw it on the floor, then he casually walked over to the fire alarm. The firecracker started going off. What is that? What is that? Said Mei. The fire's shooting at us, screamed Kaminari. Most people burst out laughing. No matter what universe it is, you're always an idiot, babe, said Jiro in between laughs. That's not true, said Kaminari in his defense. What in the name of God is going on? Said 13. Ida then turned on the fire alarm. It then cut to Izuku and Kaminari moving the copying machine. Let's try this, said Izuku. Yes, battering ram. Battering ram, said Kaminari. Aoyama's legs then came crashing through the ceiling, causing everyone to start screaming even more. Go, 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 go. Ah! Screamed Kaminari as he and Izuku rammed the copying machine into the door, but it was no use. Screamed. It then cut back to Mike in the meeting room throwing a projector through the glass window, shattering it. Help! Help! Screamed Mike through the window. The camera then moved to Aizawa. Oh God. I'm about to die. Screamed Aizawa while clutching his side. Izuku and Kaminari then tried ramming the door again with the copier, but they just ended up breaking the copier more. Finally, Ida stood on top of a stool and started blowing a horn, causing everyone to go quiet. Attention! Employees of 𝗲𝗏𝗵𝗃. This has been a test of our emergency preparedness. There is no fire. It was only a simulation, said Ida. What? Said Izuku. Fire not real. This was merely a training exercise, said Ida. Aoyama then dropped from the ceiling. So what have we leaned? Asked Ida. Suddenly, Aizawa collapsed onto the floor unconscious. What the? Said Aizawa. Oh come on. It's not real. 𝗧𝗪𝗧 don't have a heart attack, said Ida. Everyone rushed over to Aizawa. No. You will not die. 𝗧𝗪𝗧, you will not die. 𝗧𝗪𝗧. Insert random Japanese name is president. You are Asian 𝗧𝗪𝗧. Screamed present Mike. Too. Mike, your screaming isn't helping, said Aizawa. I'm gonna give him mouth to mouth, said Mike. No. Don't give him mouth to mouth for this, said Izuku. He's going to swallow his tongue, said Mike. No, I'm not, Mike, said Aizawa. Open your mouth, said Mike as he tried to use his wallet to get his tongue out. Hizashi, said Izuku as he and the others tried to pull Mike away from Aizawa. Don't swallow it. I'm fine. Leave me saving him, screamed Mike as they pulled him away from Aizawa. Mineta spilled his snacks on them. The screen then cut to black. Am I gonna be okay? Asked Aizawa. You survive, don't worry, said Luke. Well, one thing's for sure. We should never let Ida run a fire drill, said Zero. It was another universe, said Ida doing his hand gestures. To the cafeteria, said Luke. They entered the room and saw All Might-themed birthday decorations everywhere. Happy birthday, Todoroki, said Luke. Oh, it's my birthday now. Neat, said Todoroki. After that, same routine. Played games, sang happy birthday to 𝗧𝗪𝗧, then he blew out the candles on the cake. While Endeavor was locked in the basement with Overhaul. Thank you everyone. It's nice to have a real birthday for once in my life, said Todoroki. You're welcome, Todoroki, said Izuku. After that everyone gave Todoroki gifts. Most of it was All Might-themed stuff. Here you go, 𝗧𝗪𝗧, said Momo as she handed her boyfriend a wrapped gift. 𝗧𝗪𝗧 opened it to see that it was a frozen pack of soba. 𝗧𝗪𝗧 just sat there for a few seconds. Did you not like it? Asked Momo. 𝗧𝗪𝗧 didn't say anything. He just grabbed Momo and started making out with her. One hot DMN, said Luke. I love it so much. Thank you, Momo, said Todoroki. Why, you're welcome, said Momo blushing. Here you go, 𝗧𝗪𝗧, said Dabi as he handed 𝗧𝗪𝗧 a small wrapped gift while avoiding eye contact. 𝗧𝗪𝗧 opened it to see that it was a photo of 𝗧𝗪𝗧 as a baby with his mom and siblings, with Endeavor cropped out. 𝗬𝗧𝗪𝗧 hugged Dabi. Thank you, Tia, said 𝗧𝗪𝗧. No problem, bro, said Tia. All right, back to the theater, said Luke. Okay, I'm sending the kids to the kids' room now, said Luke, snapping his fingers. Why? Asked Ochako. This universe is a surprise, said Luke, pressing a button on his remote. It began with a news report. Our top story tonight. More than half the heroes in Japan are dead, said the woman on the news. What? Said the audience. Who dares? Said Death Arms. Authorities say they were all killed by the hero killer Stain and his partner. Stay tuned for updates, said the woman on the news. Partner. There's 2 of them now, said Ida. 3. It then showed Hosu where we see Ida rushing into an alleyway where he saw Stain standing there. You will pay for what you've done to my brother, hero killer, shouted Ida. It wasn't me who crippled your brother, it was my apprentice, who's right above you, said Stain. Wait, Wadash. But then a person landed on top of Ida and pinned him to the ground. It was Izuku, who was wearing an outfit very similar to Stain's. It's the one at the top of the page, Deku/Midoriya/Izuku/me, said the audience. You get to be Stain's apprentice. Lucky, said Spinner to Izuku. 1. Who are you? Grunted Ida. I'm the one who's gonna put an end to all you fakes, said Izuku. Why is Midoriya working with Stain in this universe? Said Ida. Well, you see, in this universe Stain was in the city during the sludge villain incident. He was actually standing there in the crowd in disguise, and he saw Izuku rush out there to save Bakugo, while the pros just stood there and did nothing. And then he saw the pros yell at Izuku for being reckless and treat him like SHT, even though he saved Bakugo's life while they did nothing to help, said Luke while glaring at the pros who yelled at Izuku that day, who currently had their heads down in shame. Anyways, after that All Might didn't pursue Izuku and offer him one for all, 'cause I guess he also thought Izuku was being reckless. So instead Stain pursued Izuku and took him under his wing. Izuku quickly became a skilled hero killer, since he had all that knowledge in his notebooks. He first killed the heroes who yelled at him. He put a bullet in 𝗵𝗃𝗺𝗺's head, lit Kamui Woods on fire, blew a chunk of empty lady's head off with a bazooka, etc. And now he and Stain have killed or seriously injured almost every hero in Japan. Even some who weren't fakes still suffered horribly, like Ida's brother for example, said Luke. You're the same age as me. What has Stain done to make you do this? Asked Ida. Not much. All he did was open my eyes. The hero society is corrupt. Even you. I've heard about what happened there. Your teachers were barely able to protect you and your classmates from the League of Villains. And I even heard a girl got crushed by a giant robot during the entrance exam, said Izuku. 1. He's referring to Ochako, obviously, said Luke. And now you, Tenya Ida of the Ingenium bloodline, will be the next to fall, said Izuku as he swung his sword down on Ida and the screen cut to black, but not before the audience heard Ida's screams. That's all for this universe, said Luke. Hey kid, if the hero thing doesn't work out for you, give me a call, said Stain. Said Izuku. Alright, we're gonna be going back to the Fallout universe, said Luke as he snapped his fingers, sending Eri, Kota, Katsuma, and Mahoro to the kids' room, and pressed a button on his remote. Izuku and Dogmeat were walking through the Commonwealth on their way to Diamond City. On their way there a few interesting things happened. They met a trader who gave them directions, and then they settled a dispute between a chem dealer and a trade shop owner. Izuku was also able to listen to Diamond City radio on his Pip-Boy. He was able to listen to all the classic songs from his time. This music in this world sucks. It's all stuff from the 1950s, said Jiro. Yeah, I know. Another thing in this world, music never evolved either. So it's still the stuff my grandparents listened to, said Luke. Izuku also had to listen to the host of Diamond City Radio, who was very annoying and didn't sound confident at all. They were about to pass through Cambridge when Izuku picked up a distress signal on his Pip-Boy, military frequency AF95. Izuku tuned in. Automated message repeat. Described. Kodai of Reconnaissance Squad Gladius to any unit in transmission range. YUI. Said Class 1B. I'm in this too, asked Yui. Yeah. Just keep watching, said Luke. Authorization ARCs, Pharaoh 9-5. Our unit has sustained casualties, and we're running low on supplies. We're requesting support, or evac, from our position at Cambridge Police Station. Izuku and Dogmeat then headed into Cambridge. I hope she's okay, said Kendo. I'm sure I'm fine, guys. Don't worry, said Yui. When they entered Cambridge they were attacked by what looked like zombies. What are those things? Screamed the audience. God, I gotta get earplugs. But those things are called feral ghouls. Ida mentioned them in this universe earlier, said Luke. Izuku and Dogmeat killed the feral ghouls and continued heading towards the Cambridge police station. As they got closer they heard gunfire. When they got to the police station, they saw that there were military-like barricades around it. And he saw Kirishima in T-60 power armor, minus the helmet, standing out in front of the police station shooting feral ghouls with a laser rifle. For 𝗧𝗵𝗲, said Kirishima. There was also Yui wearing a red and black military outfit of some sort, shooting ferals with a laser pistol while defending 𝗬𝗧𝗏, who was wearing an orange and cream-colored jumpsuit, sitting against a wall, wounded. Is that me? Asked 𝗬𝗧𝗏. Kirishima saw Izuku and Dogmeat enter the area. Civilian in the perimeter. Check your fire, shouted Kirishima to his squad mates. Izuku and Dogmeat helped Kirishima and his team kill the feral ghouls. After the ghouls were dead, they walked over to Kirishima. Izuku got a better look at his power armor. It was mostly black but with a few red stripes, and it had a symbol of a sword, some gears, and 2 wings, painted in white on the chest piece. He was also wearing what looked like the purple headpiece Buzz Lightyear wore around his head. Except instead of purple, it was black with a white STRP going down the middle. Dude, you look like Buzz Lightyear, said Kaminari. No, I don't. I look awesome, said Kirishima in his defense. Excuse me, said Izuku. We appreciate the assistance, civilian. But what's your business here? Asked Kirishima. Before I answer, will you tell me who you are? Asked Izuku. In due time. If you want to remain in our compound, I suggest you answer my question first, said Kirishima. Eiji, he just saved your lives? And now you're threatening to throw him out, said Mina. I'm just trying to survive out here, like everyone else, said Izuku. The way you charged in and engaged those ferals, I find that a bit difficult to believe. Are you from a local settlement? Asked Kirishima. I'm from Vault 111, said Izuku. You're a vault dweller. Most people wouldn't admit such a thing. I appreciate your honesty, said Kirishima. Kirishima, he's literally wearing a vault jumpsuit and Pip-Boy. How did you not know he was a vault dweller? Said Zero. If I appear suspicious, it's because our mission here has been difficult. Since the moment we arrived in the Commonwealth, we've been constantly under fire. If you want to continue pitching in, we could use an extra gun on our side, said Kirishima. I want to help, but I don't like the secrecy. Or you? Really? Asked Izuku. Very well. I'm Paladin Kirishima, Brotherhood of Steel. Over there is Scribe Kodai and Knight 𝗬𝗧𝗏. We're on recon duty, but I'm down a man and our supplies are running low. I've been trying to send a distress call to my superiors, but the signal's too weak to reach them, said Kirishima. Who are the Brotherhood of Steel? Asked Ochako. A bunch of douchebags in power armor, said Luke. Sir, if I may, asked Yui. Proceed, Kodai, said Kirishima. I've modified the radio tower on the roof of the police station, but I'm afraid it just isn't enough. What we need is something that will boost the signal, said Yui. Our target is Arc Jet Systems, and it contains the technology we need. The deep-range transmitter, said Kirishima, turning back to Izuku. We infiltrate the facility, secure the transmitter, and bring it back here. So what do you say? You willing to lend the Brotherhood of Steel a hand? Asked Kirishima. Who are the Brotherhood of Steel? Asked Izuku. Our order seeks to understand the nature of technology, its power, its meaning to us as humans. And we fight to secure that power from those who would abuse it, explained Kirishima. How did mankind abuse technology? Asked Izuku. Before the Great War, science and technology became more of a burden than a benefit. The atom bomb, bioengineered plagues, and FEV are clear examples of the horrors that technological advancement had wrought. We're here to make sure that never happens again, said Kirishima. Don't listen to a word Kirishima is saying. The Brotherhood's real goal is to steal technology and keep it for themselves, said Luke. 5. So you steal technology and keep it for yourselves, said Izuku. See, said Luke. You're implying that we do this to benefit ourselves. I can assure you, our motivation is quite the opposite, said Kirishima. So, what do you say? Will you help us? Asked Kirishima. It's a good plan, if we make it back, said Izuku. I can assure you that I wouldn't undertake this mission unless I had confidence in your abilities, said Kirishima as they walked over to Yui and 𝗬𝗧𝗏. Kodai, take 𝗬𝗧𝗏 inside and bind his wounds, said Kirishima. Yes, sir, said Yui. 𝗬𝗧𝗏, Once you're on your feet, I want you to make sure the perimeter is secure, said Kirishima. I'm on it, said 𝐻𝐻𝐽𝑗 weakly. All right, civilian, it's time to prove your worth. Head into the police station and resupply yourself, then let me know when you're ready to begin, said Kirishima. Let's move out, people, said Kirishima. Actually, I've got some business in Diamond City, but I'll come back and help you guys later, said Izuku. After that, Izuku and Dogmeat continued their journey to Diamond City. As they continued walking down the road, they passed by two large metal blue cylinders called 𝗵𝘃𝗧𝗏 Preservation Shelters. Ankh was already opened and it was empty. 𝗵𝘃𝗧𝗏 Preservation Shelters are cheaper fallout shelters that can contain one person. Most people who used them ended up still dying or getting turned into ghouls when the bombs fell, said Luke. He opened the other one to see that it had some building blocks, a toy alien, and a Vault-Tec lunchbox. When he opened the lunchbox, it made a surprise party sound and a Nuka-Cola cherry popped out. Vault-Tec lunchboxes are located throughout the Commonwealth. You never know what you might get from them. It could be a really valuable and unique item, or it can be a totally useless piece of garbage, explained Luke. Izuku put the Nuka cherry and lunchbox in his inventory, and he and Dogmeat continued walking down the road. They then passed by the ruins of the CIT college. Hey, I know that place. That's MIT. It's the college I went to, said David. 2A/ and I know there's no proof of this. I just thought it would make sense that someone as smart as David would go to a college like MIT. Especially since he already lives in America and all. Actually, it's called the CIT in this universe. You know, since Massachusetts is called the Commonwealth here. So instead it stands for Commonwealth Institute of Technology, said Luke. Izuku and Dogmeat then crossed a bridge that was over a river. There was an old boat underneath them with some raiders on it, but they didn't see Izuku and Dogmeat. They were about to reach Diamond City when suddenly they heard gunfire. They went around the corner to see a bunch of guys wearing old umpire gear and helmets, shooting at giant green creatures that also had guns. What are those things? Said Ochako. They're called super mutants. They're also pretty common enemies in the game. They're created from FEV. The guys they're shooting at are Diamond City security, said Luke. Super mutants, said one of the Diamond City security guards. Izuku pulled out his gun and aided the Diamond City security guards. Two giant green super mutant-like dog things charged at Izuku, but Izuku just killed them too. Those things are called mutant hounds. They're basically the super mutants' attack dogs or whatever, said Luke. After that, Izuku helped the Diamond City security kill off the remaining super mutants. DMN. Not afraid of mutants? You're our kinda guy, said one of the security guards. One after that, Izuku and Dogmeat continued walking down the road until they reached the entrance to Diamond City. Wait, I know that place. That's Fenway Park, said All Might. Not anymore, it isn't, said Luke. When Izuku approached the entrance, he saw that the door was closed. But then he saw a woman talking into the speaker outside the door. It was 𝗬, who was more human-looking. She was wearing a news cap, a red leather jacket with a few tears in it, a green scarf, and a few other things. Hey, it's me, said 𝗬. What do you mean you can't open the gate? Stop playing around, I'm standing out in the open here, for crying out loud, said 𝗬 into the speaker. I got orders not to let you in, Miss Tsuyu. I'm sorry. I'm just doing my job, said the man on the other end of the speaker, Danny. Oh. Just doing your job. Protecting Diamond City means keeping me out, is that it? Oh look, it's the scary reporter. Who? Said 𝗬. I'm sorry, but Mayor Ciro's really steamed, 𝗬. Saying, that article you wrote was all lies. The whole city's in a tizzy, said Danny through the speaker. 10 article, said 𝗬. You're a reporter in Diamond City in this, 𝗬, said Luke. Why did that guy say Mayor Ciro, though? Am I mayor in this? Asked Ciro. No. Just keep watching, said Luke. To 𝐼𝐬𝐽. You open this gate right now, Danny Sullivan. I live here. You can't just lock me out. Said 𝗬. Open this gate right now, said 𝗬, but it was no use. She then turned to Izuku. You want into Diamond City, right? She whispered. I just got here, but yeah, said Izuku. Shoo, play along, whispered 𝗬. What's that? You said you're a trader up from Quincy. You have enough supplies to keep the general store stocked for a whole month. You hear that, Danny? You gonna open the gate and let us in? Or are you gonna be the one talking to crazy Myrna about losing out on all this supply? Said 𝗬 into the speaker. Geez, alright. No need to make it personal, 𝗬. Give me a minute, said Danny as he opened up the gate. Better head inside quick before ol' Danny catches on to the bluff, said 𝗬. Sounds good. Let's go, said Izuku. Another great day in Diamond City, said 𝗬 as she dusted herself off. When they went inside they saw a man there once they got in. He looked a bit like 𝗧𝗏 but with a few differences. Wait, that's not me, said 𝗧𝗏. No, that's your brother, sort of. In this universe you're not an only child. You're still a mayor in this, just for a different community. You appear later on in the story, explained Luke. Who let you back inside? I told Sullivan to keep that gate shut. You devious, rabble-rousing slanderer. The level of dishonesty in that paper of yours. I'll have that printer scrapped for parts, said the mayor. Oh, that a statement, Mr. 𝗧𝗏. Tyrant mayor shuts down the press. Said 𝗬. Why don't we ask the newcomer? You support the news. 'Cause the mayor's threatening to throw free speech in the dumpster. Said 𝗬 as she and Mayor 𝗧𝗏 turned to Izuku. What newspaper are you talking about? Asked Izuku. Mine. Public occurrences, and we're the hard look at the truth. So are you with us or not? Asked 𝗬. This really isn't any of my business, said Izuku. Oh, I didn't mean to bring you into this argument, good sir. No. You look like Diamond City material. Welcome to the great green jewel of the Commonwealth. A fine place to come, spend your money, settle down. Don't let this muckraker here tell you otherwise, alright, said the mayor. What are you two arguing about anyway? Asked Izuku. What you think? Print lies and everybody's happy, but if you print the truth, 𝗧, said 𝗬. Ahem, now, was there anything particular you came to our city for? Asked the mayor. Just looking for something, said Izuku. Oh, what is it you're looking for? Asked the mayor. That's my business, said Izuku. Well, whatever you do, don't bother going to Diamond City Security for help, said 𝗬. I've had enough of this, 𝗧. From now on, consider you and that little sister of yours on notice, said the mayor. Oh, Satsuki's in this too? Asked 𝗬. Yes, said Luke. Yeah, keep talking, 𝗧𝗏. That's all you're good for, said 𝗬. Said the mayor walking away. 𝗬 turned back to Izuku. A big Diamond City welcome from the mayor. You feel honored yet? Look, I gotta go get settled in, but stop by my office later. I have an idea for an article you'd be perfect for, said 𝗬 before heading inside Diamond City. One Izuku then walked over to a man with ginger hair wearing Diamond City security armor, minus the helmet. So you're that traitor 𝗬 was talking about. Something tells me she's pulled the wool over my eyes again, am I right? Asked the man. Izuku recognized the voice and realized it was the guy 𝗬 was talking to over the speaker from outside Danny Sullivan. 𝗬's done this before, asked Izuku. All the time. Thing is, sometimes she's bluffing, and sometimes there really is a group of 50 raiders just over the hill, screaming for BLD. So I usually just let her in. Not this time though. Mayor's on a warpath, said Danny. What kinds of trouble do I get myself into out there in the wasteland? Asked 𝗬. Oh, all sorts, said Luke. Hey, what's brought you into town anyway? Be good to note it down in the logs, said Danny. Just looking for something, said Izuku. Aren't we all? Now, was there anything particular you were looking for? Asked Danny. Not really your business, said Izuku. Alright. Sorry I asked, said Danny. Izuku was about to enter Diamond City when he passed another person wearing security armor but with no helmet. He was bald and was wearing sunglasses as he lit a cigarette. Hey, said the man. Hey, said Izuku. What's up? Asked the man. Not much, said Izuku. What a day, huh? Said the man. I guess, said Izuku. Welcome to the, great green jewel. You'll totally love it here, said the man. If you say so, said Izuku. Don't you have, like, important things to do? Asked the man. Don't you? You're part of security, judging by the uniform, said Izuku. Nothing more to say, said the man. Rude, said Izuku before leaving. He and Dogmeat walked up the stairs and entered the large stadium. When they entered the stadium, they saw what Fenway Park had now become. The picture of what it looks like is at the top, so they just built a whole city inside of Fenway Park? Asked All Might. Yeah, pretty much, said Luke. Izuku and Dogmeat walked down a flight of metal stairs where they saw 𝗬𝗏 walking over to a large shack with the words, public occurrences on it. That's not how you spell public, said 𝗬𝗏. Yeah, I don't know if that was intentional or not, said Luke. 𝗬𝗏's sister, Satsuki, was standing there in front of the building on top of a wooden box passing out newspapers. She looked about 10 years old in this. 𝗬𝗏, you're back, said Satsuki as she hopped off the box and ran over to 𝗬𝗏. Where are our parents and brother in this? Asked 𝗬𝗏. Your parents are dead and your brother never existed, said Luke. Hey kiddo, how are the paper sales? Asked 𝗬𝗏. Well, the presses are getting overloaded. The motor is going to go soon if we don't replace it, said Satsuki. Ah, you've been saying that for weeks, and the old girl still keeps cranking. Stop worrying so much. I gotta head into the office. You starts whistling if you see any angry politicians coming our way, said 𝗬𝗏. Is something wrong? 𝗬𝗏 asked Satsuki. 𝗬𝗏 just ignored her and headed inside the office. Satsuki sighed and hopped back on top of her box and continued trying to hand out newspapers. That was rude of me, said 𝗬𝗏. Izuku had witnessed the whole thing and walked over to Satsuki. Free paper to newcomers. If the Institute grabs you in the night, at least we warned you, said Satsuki. The Institute? Asked Izuku. Keep watching, said Luke. The Institute? Asked Izuku. You ain't heard of the Institute, mister? They snatch people up in the night and no one hears from them again. It's all in the paper. Better read up before they grab you, too, said Satsuki. Who's gone missing? Asked Izuku. Drifters, residents, stadium seat snobs. Seems every year or so, someone's gone, and we all know why. So you better be careful, newcomer. The Institute's out there, and they'll grab you too. Like I said, it's all in the paper, said Satsuki. I believe you. Thanks, said Izuku. You're a real lost lamb in the wolf's den, mister, said Satsuki as she handed Izuku a copy of a newspaper labeled, The Synthetic Truth. So what are you doing in Diamond City, anyway? Asked Satsuki. Izuku decided that he could trust the kid. I came here looking for someone, said Izuku. Let me guess, that someone's gone missing, right? That's what I'm telling ya. So who is it? Asked Satsuki. I'm looking for Toshinori. He's my son. Less than a year old, said Izuku. You have a son, mister? Man, you're old, said Satsuki. 𝗬𝗏, your sister didn't need to insult me about my age, said Izuku. She's just a kid, Midoriya, said 𝗬𝗏. You're in bad luck. No one tries to find missing people in Diamond City. Missing people means the Institute is involved. And no one's going to want to get the Institute's attention, said Satsuki. This Institute sounds like a real threat, said All Might. What's the Institute do that's got everyone so scared? Asked Izuku. You mean besides making the synths and using them to replace people? Or that they live in the shadows, and no one knows how to get to them? Everyone in town is afraid of being replaced, or that someone they know isn't human anymore. So don't expect people around here to jump up and down looking to help you out, said Satsuki. Since not human anymore. What does she mean? Asked 𝗬𝗏. Keep watching, said Luke. What are synths? Asked Izuku. The Institute has been making them for years. The old ones are sort of human-looking, but you can tell they're robots. You see a bunch of them out there in the Commonwealth. I heard they murder whole towns and carry what's left to who knows where. But the real danger is in the newer models. Synths with real flesh and BLD and guts and everything, explained Satsuki. Synths are robots created by the Institute. There's the Gen 1 models, they look kinda like robot skeletons. Then there's the Gen 2 models, they're basically the Gen 1s but with plastic skin all over their bodies. They look kinda like Data from Star Trek but bald. Then there's the Gen 3 models. They look exactly like humans and even act like them if programmed to be. They have synthetic flesh, BLD, bones, hair, you name it. The only parts of their bodies that are mechanical are the synth components in their heads. But besides that, they're pretty much just synthetic humans. Sometimes the Institute kidnaps people in the Commonwealth and replaces them with exact synthetic duplicates to infiltrate settlements or other factions, explained Luke. That's just evil, said 𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏. You're a smart kid. Isn't there someone in town who isn't afraid of this institute? Asked Izuku. Well, there is the detective, Mr. Shoto Todoroki. He's not afraid of anything. If anyone's gonna help you, it's him, said Satsuki. Oh, I'm a detective in this. Cool, said Todoroki. What else do you know about Mr. Todoroki? Asked Izuku. I know all the adults who go there won't admit it. Ain't that the way it is? No one's ever grateful for the people who help out the most, said Satsuki. Thanks. You were a big help, said Izuku. Remember, the institute's out there, newcomer. Watch your back, said Satsuki. After that, Izuku walked around town and got to know some of the shop merchants there. One was a weapons dealer, one was a general store owner who was super afraid of synths, one was a baseball merchant who didn't actually know anything about baseball, there was a robot wearing a chef's hat selling noodles. That's a 𝗵𝗃𝗏. They have all sorts of purposes, although this one's is more unique. Its name is Takashi, said Luke. Nananai shimashosuka? Asked Takashi. What are you saying? Asked Izuku. The robot asked what will I have to eat, said Izuku. You seem to forget that you're American in this universe, Izuku. So you don't understand Japanese, said Luke. Do yourself a favor and just say, yes. It's all he understands, said a woman sitting at the noodle bar. Yes, said Izuku. Takashi then offered Izuku some noodles, but Izuku turned them down. Izuku then noticed everyone else was heading to the stage near the old scoreboards. Izuku sat at one of the benches in front of the stage. Everybody. I need everyone's attention, said Mayor 𝗧𝗏 as everyone made their way over to the benches and sat down. I would like to address the subject that is on everyone's mind, and that is the disgusting article Tsuyu has written, said the mayor. What did I write about? Asked Tsu. You believe that the mayor's a synth, and you wrote an article about it, said Luke. Well, is he a synth? Asked 𝗧𝗏. You'll just have to keep watching, said Luke. Diamond City has stood united for over 150 years. And what keeps us united are two things. First, is the great green guardian behind me. The wall. Our protector, and our savior from the filth of the outside. And second, is our faith and trust in each other. The faith and trust that has given us prosperity, security, and education for every citizen. And while the paper might point their fingers at synths and other ghost stories to drive us apart, we will not betray this sacred trust, said the mayor. My brother seems to make good speeches, said 𝗧𝗏. Possibly, said Luke. Now I want everyone to hear these next words very carefully. I am not a synth. I am the same flesh and blood boy who grew up on these streets, who was born in a shack just down the waterfront to insert random Japanese name and insert random Japanese name 𝗧𝗏, said the mayor. Those are my parents' names, said 𝗧𝗏. And I will not abandon my city due to the heinous allegations of the press. God bless this city. God bless the wall, said the mayor as he finished his speech. Most people cheered. He's so full of Izuku heard one citizen mumble. After that, Izuku decided to go talk to Tsu about that article real quick. He entered public occurrences and saw Tsu sitting on a couch. Glad you dropped by. You hold it, book? She asked, getting up. Why are you calling me that? Asked Izuku. Because of the blue jumpsuit you're wearing. You're a vault dweller, said Tsu. Hey, I'm the one who calls Deku nicknames here, said 𝗏𝗏𝗏 while glaring at Tsu. Calm down. It's another universe, said Tsu. Yeah. In the actual Fallout 4 in my universe you can date companions, including the character that Tsu is playing in this. But in this story Izuku stays single cause he only loves you, 𝗏𝗏𝗏, said Luke. So here's the deal. I want an interview. Your life story in print. I think it's time Diamond City had a little outside perspective on the Commonwealth. You do that and I'll tell you what. I'll come with you. Watch your back while you get used to the world above ground, said Tsu. What kind of interview is this going to be? Asked Izuku. I ask you who you are, get your opinion on life out there, and maybe load up a few tough questions and keep it interesting. What do you say? Asked Tsu. Alright Tsu. I'm in, said Izuku. One good. Let's get down to business, said 𝗬𝗂. So, I know you're from a vault. How would you describe your time on the inside? Asked 𝗬𝗂. My family and I were frozen. I didn't spend much time in the vault, said Izuku. Wait. They boxed you up in a fridge. The whole time. Are you saying you were alive before the war? Asked 𝗬𝗂. Yes. I'm over 200 years old, Izuku answered. Oh my god. The man out of time, said 𝗬𝗂. So, you've seen the Commonwealth. Diamond City. How does it compare to your old life? Asked 𝗬𝗂. Honestly, seeing everyone surviving out here. Rebuilding the world. It gives me hope, said Izuku. That's surprisingly inspired, Blue. We're definitely quoting that. Now the big question. Why come to Diamond City? You're looking for someone, aren't you? Who is it? Asked 𝗬𝗂. My son, Toshinori, was kidnapped. He's not even a year old, said Izuku. The parent after their missing child. Sigh as heartbreaking today as it ever was. Tell me, do you suspect the institutes involved? Asked 𝗬𝗂. I don't know, said Izuku. No one ever does. That's what makes them so scary, said 𝗬𝗂. Could it be the institute, though? The hazmat suit we saw one of Toshi's kidnappers wearing looked pretty advanced. If the institute can create human-like robots, then surely they could have access to advanced hazmat suits, said Momo. Keep watching to find out, said Luke. For the last part of our interview, I'd like to do something different. I want you to make a statement to Diamond City directly. The threat of kidnapping is all but ignored in the Commonwealth. Everyone wants to pretend it just doesn't happen. What would you say to someone out there who's lost a loved one, but might be too scared, or too numb to the world, to look for them? Asked 𝗬𝗂. Izuku thought about this for a moment, until he came up with a quote. No matter how much you want to give up, don't. You have to have hope that'll you see them again. Or at least, that'll you know the truth, said Izuku. A truly inspirational quote, said All Might. A strong note to end on, Blue. Thanks. That's everything. It's gonna take some time to put this all together, but I think your story is going to give Diamond City plenty to talk about. Anyway, I agreed to come with you, right? Watch your back. Just say the word when you're ready. I can't wait to see where this story goes next, said 𝗬𝗂. Izuku thought about this for a moment and decided to take 𝗬𝗂 with him, while he sent Dogmeat back to the Red Rocket truck stop. After that they headed outside. It's me. I'm not a synth. They heard a voice say. They turned to see a crowd of people in front of the noodle bar. They walked over and saw a man pointing a gun at another man who had his hands up. What's going on? Said Iida. Dude thinks his brother's a synth, said Luke. Don't move, synth. What have you done with the real Riley? Where's my brother? Said the man with the gun, Kyle. I swear. I'm not a synth. Don't shoot. For God's sakes, we're family. Said the man being held at gunpoint, Riley. Suddenly, a few security guards ran over to them. Put the gun down. No. Said a security guard pointing his gun at Kyle. He's a synth. He'll kill us all. Said Kyle before getting his head blown to bits by the guard. The audience still never got used to the bloodshed and gore. Screamed Riley as he crouched in front of his brother's headless corpse. Okay, show's over. There are no synths in Diamond City, hear me. Just you folks and your DMN paranoia, said the security guard to the rest of the citizens. Izuku walked over to the guard who killed Kyle. Officer, he said. I need you to step away, Scaver, said the guard turning to face him. I understand, officer. I just want to know what happened, said Izuku. What, you didn't hear the shouting? Guy pulls a gun on his own brother, thinking he's a synth. It's that newspaper's fault. Got people all riled up, thinking their own family might be replaced by machines, said the guard. It seems the whole city's living in fear of the Institute, said Nizu. Look, I'm sorry you got caught up in all this, but it's over, okay? Just go about your business like nothing happened. Better that way, said the guard. Izuku then walked over to Riley, who was still crouched in front of his brother's dead body. Hey, said Izuku. He pulled a gun on me. My own brother, said Riley. You're safe now. That's all that matters, said Izuku. I'm not a synth. I told him. I kept telling him. Why didn't he listen to me? I need a minute, said Riley. What's everyone still standing around for? Go back to your own DMN business, shouted the guard who killed Kyle. After that, Izuku noticed a man in rags sitting on the ground. He and Sue walked over to him. So, thirsty doctor says I can't drink liquor no more, cola need a Nuka-Cola, groaned the man. That's Sheffield. He's been there for a while, said Sue. Izuku turned back to Sheffield. Hey Sheffield, said Izuku. Need a drink Nuka-Cola, said the man. Izuku pulled out a Nuka-Cola and opened it, then he handed it to Sheffield. Here you go, said Izuku. Real sweet of you, said Sue. Sheffield chugged the whole thing down. Sheffield gasped as he felt better. Ah, thank you, said Sheffield as he got up. Hey Sheffield, what do you think about coming to work for me? Asked Izuku. Really? You mean it? Asked Sheffield. That's right. Head over to Sanctuary Hills. Tell them 𝗧𝗵𝗲 sent you, said Izuku. I'll do it, said Sheffield before heading off. After that, Izuku and Sue headed to Todoroki's detective agency. When they entered, they saw a woman going through some things. Told you your luck wouldn't last forever, the woman said to herself. Izuku walked over to her. His ties. Oh, Shoto, said the woman. Who is she? Asked Momo, who was a bit jealous. That's Ellie. She's Shoto's secretary. Don't worry, she's not that kind of secretary, said Luke. For, something wrong? Asked Izuku. Another stray coming in from the rain. Afraid you're too late. Office is closed, said Ellie. I know you must be busy, but I won't take much of your time, miss. It's important, said Izuku. You're right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be rude, but it's just. The detective. He's gone missing, said Ellie. Shoto's missing. What has he gotten himself into this time? Said Sue. Do you have any idea how I could find him? Asked Izuku. He disappeared working a case. Skinny Malone's gang had kidnapped a young woman, and he tracked them down to their hideout in Park Street Station. There's an old vault down there they use as a base. I told Shoto he was walking into a trap, but he just smiled and walked out the door like he always does, said Ellie. Who's this Skinny Malone character? Asked Izuku. I don't know much about him, but he's from Good Neighbor, and that means he's in the well-pressed suits and machine gun school of thuggery, said Ellie. You said Malone's from Good Neighbor? Asked Izuku. Yeah, it's a tough neighborhood. Northeast a ways. People with power there care about two things, style and body count, said Ellie. Izuku will be visiting Good Neighbor later on in the story, said Luke. Izuku added the location of Good Neighbor onto his Pip-Boy. I'll find him. You have my word, said Izuku. Thank you. Shoto should be easy to spot. He's always wearing that old hat and trench coat get-up. Please hurry, said Ellie. After that, Izuku and Sue went to the Red Rocket truck stop. Izuku grabbed dog meat and left Sue there, then he and his dog went over to Sanctuary, where Sheffield now was. He walked over to Night Eye. Got that jet we talked about, kid? He asked. One hit of jet, said Izuku as he handed Night Eye some jet he found earlier. Midoriya, that stuff could kill him, said Mirio. It's to find my son, said Izuku defensively. You did good. Now let me ride the high to where the sight wants to take me, said Night Eye before using the inhaler. You're looking for a man. He can help you, but he ain't gonna be the man you expect. He's somewhere deep and dark, surrounded by folks with nothing but cruel intentions. But there's an echo something in the past that can help you. When you meet the fat man and the angry woman, tell them to remember the quarry and Lily June on the rocks, and they'll let you and your friend pass, said Night. Does he mean me? Am I the guy who's gonna help him? Asked Todoroki. Yes, said Luke. What does he mean when he says I'm not the kind of person Midoriya's gonna expect? Asked Todoroki. Keep watching, said Luke. But what about the part where Night has said, remember the quarry and Lily June on the rocks? Asked Mina. Plus, keep watching, said Luke again. Phew, wow, that took more out of me than usual. I'm gonna need to rest now, kid, said Night. After that, Izuku went back to the truck stop and went to bed, since it was getting late. The next morning he woke up and he and Dogmeat headed off to find Shoto Todoroki. The screen then went black. You'll see more Fallout 4 later on, said Luke. Warning. This chapter contains spoilers for the manga. 1. Okay, I'm not bringing the kids back for this universe either, said Luke, pressing a button on his remote. We see Izuku sleeping in a bed. There were All Might posters on the wall, but the eyes were crossed out. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. "Deku, wake up. It's time for the meeting," said Todoroki's voice. "I'll be there in a minute," said Izuku, getting up. He put on his clothes. They were mostly the same as the villain Deku's clothes from the first universe they saw. "It's the one at the top one?" "Oh no, don't tell me this is another villain Deku," said Ochako. "Oh, it is. But it's not just him. Keep watching," said Luke. Izuku left his room and headed down the hallway with Todoroki. "This is what he looks like, except he's wearing a shirt and the left side of his hair is dyed black. This is what he looks like, except he's wearing a shirt and the left side of his hair is dyed black, too. What the hell happened to me? I look like Tuya," said Todoroki. 3. Just keep watching, said Luke. "Last night I had a dream, Shoto. Instead of villains we were heroes. We fought for good instead of evil. You, me, Ochako, and the others were all students at UA, said Izuku. Sounds dumb, said Todoroki. 1. In this universe we're all villains, said Todoroki. Yep, said Luke. Great. First Midoriya, then Shoji, then Bakugo, and now all of us, said Kaminari sarcastically. Ha. So now all of Class 1A are villains. Truly pathetic, said Minoma before getting knocked unconscious by Kendo. Sorry, everyone, said Kendo. They kept walking down the hallway, until eventually they reached the meeting room. When they got there he saw the rest of their classmates, they're waiting for him. Here's what some of them look like. Here's what some of them look like. 42324 for the rest of their classmates, minus Mineta, were also there. 5 the rest of their classmates, minus Mineta, were also there. 8 you surprisingly, still look cute as a villain, Ochako, said Izuku. 3 Ah thanks, Deku, said Ochako before kissing him on the cheek. You also still look cute as a villain, Momo, said Todoroki. 2 Thank you, Shoto, said Momo before kissing him on the cheek. Alright everyone, listen up. We're gonna be launching another full-scale attack on UA today. They won't know what hit them, said Izuku. 2 Why are we all villains? Asked Izuku. Well, we'll start with you, Izuku. Your reason for being a villain in this universe is a bit different from your reason than the last villain you. In this universe, after you saved Bakugo from the sludge villain, All Might didn't offer you one for all. Instead he yelled at you for being reckless and once again told you that you couldn't be a hero without a quirk. So after that All for One recruited you and you became leader of the Villain Alliance. That's your group's name in this instead of the League of Villains. You know, since in your universe your dorm room building is called the 1A Alliance. Anyways, eventually you brutally murdered All Might and all the other heroes who yelled at you for being reckless. You even killed all of All Might's friends and family and made him watch, said Luke. Why am I a villain? Asked Ochako. In this universe you met Izuku and he offered to pay you so you could help your parents. And not long after that the two of you fell in love and hooked up, explained Luke. 1 Why am I villain? Asked Todoroki. Isn't it obvious? You couldn't handle all the abuse your dad was putting you through. So you ran away, burned your whole left side, met Izuku, and joined the Villain Alliance, explained Luke. Why am I villain? Asked Ida. In this universe, after your brother was crippled by Stain, Izuku and the Villain Alliance offered to heal him and restore the use of his legs, but in exchange you had to join them. You didn't want to, but you couldn't bear to see your brother in the way he was, so you reluctantly agreed. After that they healed your brother, but they also put a chip in him without him knowing that would kill him if you ever stepped out of line. So now you're a part of the Alliance to keep your brother alive, explained Luke. 1 Why am I a villain? Asked Bakugo. You're actually the only one who isn't a villain of their own free will. You were a student at UA, but then Izuku and the others launched an attack there. They slaughtered your teachers and classmates and made you watch. Then they kidnapped you and brutally tortured you and brainwashed you. And now you're their mindless SLV. Sometimes when Izuku's bored he unleashes you upon the city and makes you go on a rampage, explained Luke. 5 The rest of you are all villains for various reasons. Some of you because you had abusive parents, some of you because you were bullied, some of you because you lost loved ones because of heroes who were being reckless, and some of you just because you decided to use your powers for evil instead of good. Either way, Izuku recruited each and every one of you eventually, said Luke to the rest of the class. Where am I? I don't see myself in the room, said Minato looking at the screen. You were a part of the villain alliance. You were a wanted RPST. The others didn't care at first, but then Izuku, Todoroki, Kaminari, Kirishima, Ojiro, and Tokoyami found out that you were planning to RP Ochako, Momo, Jiro, Mina, Toru, and Su. And seeing them as the protective boyfriends they are, they ripped you to shreds, said Luke. 3 Minato went pale while everyone glared at him. Hey babe, after this is done let's cuddle, said Ochako running a finger on Izuku's chest. At least their love lives on in this universe, said Mina. After that they stood outside UA. Bakugo blew a hole through the outer wall and the alarms went off. They attacked the building but were suddenly blasted back by a blast of blue fire. When they got back up they saw Dabi, Shigaraki, Toga, Kurogiri, Twice, and the rest of the league all in hero costumes. 1 Here's what some of them look like. Here's what some of them look like. 3 What the hell are we wearing? Said Shigaraki. 4 What the hell are we wearing? Said Shigaraki. Forgot to mention. Since in this universe class 1A are villains, you guys are the heroes. You're the League of Heroes, said Luke. What? Said the League of Villains. Yeah. In this universe the good guys are the bad guys, and the bad guys are the good guys, said Luke. Why the 𝗵𝗃𝗄 hero? Screamed Shigaraki. In this universe you didn't accidentally kill your family. Instead your quirk manifested a few minutes later when you were about to go to bed, but then you disintegrated the doorknob. After that your parents brought you to a quirk doctor and you learned how to control it. But after that your dad continued being an abusive piece of SHT until eventually your mom had enough of it, so she divorced your dad and he went to jail for child abuse. And after that there was nothing standing in your way of being a hero, explained Luke. Why am I a hero? Asked Dabi. In this universe you didn't let your jealousy of Shoto get to you. You got into UA so you could become a hero Shoto could look up to. And now you desperately try to bring your brother back to the light, explained Luke. Why am I a hero? Asked Kurogiri. Well, you know you're a Nomu, right? Said Luke. 1 Yeah, said Kurogiri. But do you know whose body you're using? Asked Luke. Yeah. Some guy named Oboro Shirakumo, I think. At least that's what Eraserhead and Present Mike told me, said Kurogiri. Wait, how did you two know that? Asked Izuku to Aizawa and Present Mike. Because we knew him before he was a Nomu, said Aizawa. What? Said the class. He was our best friend, we were students at UA together. We were gonna start our own hero agency after graduating, said Present Mike. But then in our second year a building fell on top of him and he died. But it turns out All for One got his hands on his body and turned him into that thing, said Aizawa while glaring at Kurogiri. We didn't know it was him, or at least his body, until a few days ago when we got a call from the prison and went to go visit him, said Present Mike. Well, in this universe Shirakumo didn't die, he just ended up in a coma. All for One still tried to turn him into a Nomu, but it didn't go as planned. He did manage to give Shirakumo the Warp Gate quirk, but then he woke up from his coma and escaped and went back to you and Aizawa. And now he serves as a mentor to the League of Heroes, explained Luke. 3 Why am I a hero? Asked Toga. You're not as crazy in this universe as you are in yours. You're still crazy, just not as much, explained Luke. Why is her costume similar to mine? Asked Vlad King. You were one of my favorite heroes when I was a kid. I always wanted to drink your BLD, said Toga, while Vlad was creeped out. 1 The rest of you are all heroes for various reasons that I'm not gonna get into, said Luke to the rest of the league. Villains. Surrender now or face the consequences. Shouted Tenko. How about you go F yourself? We're here to finish UA off once and for all. Said Izuku. How about one for all? Shouted Shigaraki as light blue lightning appeared around his body. 1 Also in this universe Shigaraki's the 9th holder of One for All instead. All Might gave it to him right before he was killed by Izuku, explained Luke. 1 The two groups charged at one another. Izuku clashed with Tenko, Shoto clashed with Tuya. Shoto. Please come home. Mom, Dad, Fuyumi and Natsuo miss you. And Dad regrets everything he did. He's trying to be a better husband and father now. Tuya pleaded. Bullshit. He'll never change. shouted Shoto before blasting ice at him. Ochako clashed with Toga. Ready to have another go at it, said Ochako. 2, you betcha, said Toga before charging at Ochako with a needle. The fight continued on for a few more minutes until Izuku was bored. This fight's gone on long enough. Time to kick things up a notch, said Izuku as black and red lightning appeared around him. All for one. Activate, shouted Izuku as he activated All for One. Izuku's also the second holder of All for One in this, said Luke. Izuku blasted Tenko through a wall and continued beating the living CRP out of him. Soon the League of Heroes knew they were gonna lose the fight. There's no way we're gonna be able to win this. Shirakumo, get us and the students out of here, said Tuya. Shirakumo opened up multiple warp gates and got himself, Tuya, Tenko, Toga, all the other League members, and all the students out of the area. Well, that was easy. Time to finish the job, said Izuku. He turned to Bakugo. You know what to do, he said. Yes, said Bakugo like a zombie. One Bakugo then fired a massive explosion at UA and blew it to bits. They just destroyed you, said Nizu in shock. Izuku and the others laughed maniacally as they watched the building be destroyed. The screen then went black. I'm sorry if some of you were disturbed by this, said Luke. Okay, now to bring the kids back into the room, said Luke as he snapped his fingers and Eri, Kota, Katsuma, and Mahoro were back in the theater. 2. Okay, this next one is a short and sweet one where UA has a preschool section and Class 1A are all in kindergarten, explained Luke. It started with Inko dropping a 5-year-old Izuku off at UA's kindergarten. Zuzuu, squealed a 5-year-old Ochako running over to Izuku and tackling him to the floor while hugging him. 6. This is so adorable, said Inko and Ochako's mom. So cute, said Inko as he pulled out her phone and took a picture. Have fun today, Izuku, said Inko. I will bye, said Izuku. After that Izuku and Ochako walked over to the other children. Deku, said 5-year-old Bakugo marching over to Izuku and Ochako. Oh my god, Katsuki. You're so adorable, said Kami. This is my turf, Dek. Got that? Said Bakugo. Leave Deku alone, Bakugo. He's my boyfriend, said Ochako while hugging Izuku. 2A/ and they're not actually dating yet, it's just a little kid thing. 11. Alright kids, gather around. It's time to learn about sharing, said Aizawa. 3. Alright Bakugo, let's start with you, said Aizawa holding up an apple. You have 5 apples and your friend asks for 3 apples. How many do you have left? Asked Aizawa. 5, said Bakugo. Aizawa sighed. You have 5 apples and your friend asks by force for 3 apples? How many apples do you have left? Asked Aizawa. 5 apples and a corpse, said Bakugo. 10. He was, unfortunately, like this when he was in preschool in our universe, said Mitsuki. 2 later on they had nap time. Izuku and Ochako cuddled together. Izuku and Ochako cuddled together. 3. So cute, said all the girls. Todoroki and Momo were also cuddling together. So were Kaminari and Jiro, so were Toru and Ojiro, so were Tsu and Tokoyami, and so were Mina and Kirishima, but the audience also noticed that Kirishima had black hair instead or red. Wait, why is your hair black in this, Kirishima? Asked Izuku. Because my hair is actually black. I just dyed it red to look like Crimson Riot, said Kirishima. I can confirm that. He only started dyeing it red when he started attending UA, but before that his hair was always black, said Mina. 1. I love you, Zuzu, said Ochako in her sleep. The screen then cut to black. That's all for this universe, folks, said Luke. I should consider maybe setting up a preschool section in UA in our universe as well, said Nizu. 1. Please God no. I don't want to have to babysit any more brats like I do in that universe, said Aizawa. Meme time, people, said Luke. Meme time, people, said Luke. 2. I am the sun, said Aoyama. 6. Yes. My childhood, said Luke. 11. My childhood, said Luke. 32. Ah yes. My childhood again, said Luke. Do I really look like Arthur the Aardvark? Asked Ida. I mean sometimes, said Izuku. I need to write this down. Said Todoroki. 3. I need to write this down. Said Todoroki. Todoroki no, said Izuku. 1. I'm an only child, said Endeavor. 1. So was Hisashi, said Inko. 11. So was Hisashi, said Inko, shouted Dabi, while Shigaraki was laughing his butt off. Hey! Shouted Dabi, while Shigaraki was laughing his butt off. 9. Hey! I don't break my bones that much anymore, said Izuku. Yeah sure, fam, whatever floats your boat, said Luke while eating some KFC. 3. Whatever floats your boat, said Luke while eating some KFC. This happened just a few nights ago. Midoriya and Uraraka were out on a date and I was babysitting Eri and she tried to eat cookies before dinner, said Ida. Midoriya and Uraraka were out on a date and I was babysitting Eri and she tried to eat cookies before dinner, said Ida. 2. Sometimes all I want to do is sleep on the floor, said Aizawa. Sometimes all I want to do is sleep on the floor, said Aizawa. That's not funny, said Ida and Tensei. 10. That's not funny, said Ida and Tensei. 13. What the F, said Bakugo. Aoyama made that exact same face. Aoyama made that exact same face. 1. What does that mean? Asked Izuku. Just look at this next meme, said Luke. Just look at this next meme, said Luke. 4. What the hell, Aoyama, said Ojiro. Did you know we were in an anime all this time? Said Momo. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, said Aoyama, winking at them. 11. This pretty much sums up what happened during those matches in the sports festival, said Kirishima. 2. This pretty much sums up what happened during those matches in the sports festival, said Kirishima. This pretty much sums up what happened during those matches in the sports festival, said Kirishima. 3. We frogs gotta stick together, ribbit, said Tsu. 1. No single Earth, from any universe, revolves around you, Bakugo, said Luke. No single Earth, from any universe, revolves around you, Bakugo, said Luke. 9. PFFFF. Haha. This actually happened when I was a kid. He was so pissed, said Shoto, laughing his butt off. PFFF. Haha. This actually happened when I was a kid. He was so pissed, said Shoto, laughing his butt off. PFFFF. Haha. This actually happened when I was a kid. He was so pissed, said Shoto, laughing his butt off. You are, babe, said Kaminari. My entire body was born in Japan. 5. My entire body was born in Japan. Why would someone ask me such a dumb question like that? Said Todoroki. I don't think you understood what the reporter meant, said Luke. I don't think you understood what the reporter meant, said Luke. 11. Ah yes. More of my childhood, said Luke. Where can I get these? Said Bakugo. Where can I get these? Said Bakugo. For, I don't know, said Luke. Many people burst out laughing. 7. Many people burst out laughing. I hate you all, said Aizawa. That's right. He's not, said Todoroki. 1. Are Bakugo's farts explosive in that picture? Or is he making the explosions with his hands? Said Kaminari. 1. Are Bakugo's farts explosive in that picture? Or is he making the explosions with his hands? Said Kaminari. Either way, if any of you try that, you're dead, said Bakugo. Either way, if any of you try that, you're dead, said Bakugo. I don't get this, said Izuku. I don't get this, said Izuku. I wear my father's hand on my face, said Shigaraki. You what? Said the audience. 2. You what? Said the audience. Bakugo, don't try to run over Midoriya, said All Might. What? Said Tokoyami, while everyone else was laughing. 2. Said Tokoyami, while everyone else was laughing. We actually did think he was your son for a while, All Might, said Aizawa. 19. We actually did think he was your son for a while, All Might, said Aizawa. We actually did think he was your son for a while, All Might, said Aizawa. 6. So true, said the boys and girls. How dare Round Face beats me at Connect 4, shouted Bakugo. 6. How dare Round Face beats me at Connect 4, shouted Bakugo. How dare Round Face beats me at Connect 4, shouted Bakugo. 2. I do feel stabby a lot, said Toga. I do feel stabby a lot, said Toga. 27. What the, said everyone. This is so wrong, said Tokoyami. This happened a lot when I was a kid, said Todoroki. 3. This happened a lot when I was a kid, said Todoroki. Aizawa, I don't think you can just adopt them all like that, said Present Mike. Aizawa, I don't think you can just adopt them all like that, said Present Mic, 33. Aizawa, I don't think you can just adopt them all like that, said Present Mic. What the, said the Todorokis. What the, said the Todorokis. One, you did, said 𝗬𝗵𝗃. You did, said 𝗬𝗵𝗃. That's right. He can't, said Shoto while slurping the cold soba that Momo gave him. 3. He can't, said Shoto while slurping the cold soba that Momo gave him. 12. What the, said the students and teachers. Indeed, said Nizu. 2. Dsmen right, said Recovery Girl. Dsmen right, said Recovery Girl. Dsmen right, said Recovery Girl. 1. Hi, said Shigaraki. 1. At least Gentle Criminal was more polite, said Izuku. 2. That's not true, said Tamaki before getting up from his seat, walking over to a wall, and resting his head on it. Plus, that's not true, said Tamaki before getting up from his seat, walking over to a wall, and resting his head on it. 3. That's all the dank memes I got for now, said Luke. 1. Okay, sending the kids to the kids' room now, said Luke, snapping his fingers. It began with a bunch of people on the streets at night running from something. They ran into an alleyway where they were cornered. They turned to see a bunch of robotic soldiers standing there. They look like these, they look like these. Whoa. Cool robots, said Kaminari. They're called Sentinels, said Luke. Please just leave us alone, said one of the people. You are out past curfew. All quirked people are required to be indoors by 8 p.m. Surrender or be destroyed, said one of the robots in a deep robotic voice. People with quirks have a curfew. Asked Momo. Keep watching, said Luke. Oh yeah. We'll take this, said another one of the people as he shot a bunch tiny spikes out of his hand with his quirk, but the spikes just bounced off the robots. 1. Attempted assault. Lethal force is now authorized, said the robot as it put its hand on the man, then fired tiny spikes in his face, killing him. Oh my god, said the audience. The scene then changed to show a tall skyscraper in the center of the city where it showed Izuku at the top floor sitting in a high-tech throne of some sort. It's the one at the top of the page. He was going over the number of quirked people who have been killed or arrested so far. So many quirked, some purged, said Izuku with an evil grin on his face. What the hell is he doing? Said Ida. Well, you see, in this universe quirkless people had enough of being looked down upon, so Izuku and a bunch of other quirkless people came together and took over the world, explained Luke. 3. No one did anything to try to stop them, asked All Might. No one took them seriously. Everyone thought quirkless people were a bunch of useless weaklings who couldn't do anything. Boy, were they wrong. Izuku and his army took over the world almost overnight. Basically, in this universe, Izuku never got one for all, but he still got into UA just barely by saving Ochako. But you and all the teachers and most of the students hated him just for being quirkless. He even won the sports festival, but you gave the gold medal to Bakugo instead and disqualified Izuku just because he was quirkless. Then you and the teachers decided to just go and expel him. After that, his parents kicked him out of the house for being quirkless. They also abused him before. That was the last straw. So Izuku then recruited multiple quirkless people, and they took over the world. Izuku killed his parents, and pretty soon he's gonna be getting revenge on you and all his former classmates and teachers as well, explained Luke. Lord Izuku, said a voice. He turned to see Ochako and Melissa standing there. Why am I there? Asked Ochako. You were the only student at UA who was nice to Izuku. After he was expelled, you decided to leave UA as well and join him in his conquest, but you had to sacrifice your quirk, so you sliced the pads on your fingers off, making you basically quirkless. After you did that, you and Izuku became a couple, said Luke. Why am I there? Asked Melissa. You joined Izuku's cuz in this universe your dad disowned you for being quirkless. After that you met Izuku and he helped you kill your dad. And in return you built his army of robot soldiers which he used to take over the world, explained Luke. I built those robot killers, said Melissa. Yep. And now you're one of his top commanders. The Sentinels have the ability to copy anyone's quirk by touching them. You made them using Monoma's DNA, said Luke. What is it you two? Asked Izuku. It's time for the execution, said Melissa. Good, said Izuku getting up from his seat. They entered a room where they saw all of Class 1A, plus the teachers, all on their knees with their hands and feet tied. Jesus Christ, said Kaminari. You all treated me like dirt just for being quirkless. Just because I was different. Even though I've saved the lives of some of you. Well, now you will face my wrath," said Izuku before laughing maniacally. "Please no more," whimpered Momo, but then Izuku smacked her in the face. "Silence you where. You've endured my experiments, now let's see if can endure this," said Izuku before grabbing a chainsaw. "5 experiments," said Todoroki. "Izuku tortured and experimented on you all before this. He had Momo create weapons and materials for his army, he used Kaminari as a living battery to power his robot army until he found another power source, and the rest of you he also found uses for," explained Luke. 2 Izuku then brutally mutilated the students and teachers. 3 After that he went back into his throne room and sat at his throne. "The quirkless empire is unstoppable," he said. The screen then went to black. "So yeah, this'll probably happen in your universe unless you guys start treating quirkless people with a little more respect and dignity," said Luke. "We should probably start spreading quirkless awareness once we get back to our universe," said Nizu, while everyone nodded their heads in agreement. Luke snapped his fingers and the kids were back in the theater, but then Mineta was gone. 2 Why'd you get rid of Mineta?" asked Mina. "'Cause this next universe is one where everyone's genders are reversed," said Luke pressing a remote button. It began at the 1A dorm rooms on the girls' side. It then showed a young woman leaving her dorm room and going out into the hallway. It was Izuku as a girl. "So that's what I would like as a girl?" asked Izuku. "So that's what I would like as a girl?" asked Izuku. "Yeah. In this universe your name is Izuki Midoriya," said Luke. "You look cute, Deku," said Ochako. Izuki went downstairs to eat breakfast with her classmates. When she got down there she saw her boyfriend and all her classmates eating. Here are pictures of some of them. Bakugo's name is Katsumi Bakugo. Not to be confused with his daughter from that other universe most of you saw, said Luke. I look just like my daughter Katsumi. With a few differences though, said Bakugo. Yeah. Funny story. In this universe later on Katsumi had a son with the male version of Kami, and their son's name was Katsuki and he looked just like you, Bakugo, said Luke. 3 Funny story. In this universe later on Katsumi had a son with the male version of Kami, and their son's name was Katsuki and he looked just like you, Bakugo, said Luke. That's Shoka Todoroki, said Luke. Interesting, said Todoroki. We all look so handsome, said Mina. 1. We all look so handsome, said Mina. 2. In this universe Ochako's name is Akuro Uraraka. He and Izuki have been dating for a while now. The rest of you I can't remember the names of. It was already hard enough memorizing the normal class 1A's names in my universe, said Luke. It was already hard enough memorizing the normal class 1A's names in my universe, said Luke. 7222. These are all the ones I bothered to find pictures for. Izuki sat with her boyfriend, Akuro Uraraka, and kissed him on the cheek. Morning, babe, she said. Morning, said Akuro. Suddenly, a male Eri came downstairs crying. Eri's name is still Eri. Since Eri is technically also a boy's name, said Luke. Mama Papa, said Eri while crying. Oh, Eri, what's wrong? Asked Izuki as she ran over to her son and hugged him. I had another nightmare of that mean lady, said Eri. He's referring to the female overhaul, said Luke. It's okay, son. That horrible woman won't be able to hurt you ever again, said Akuro as he also hugged their son. Izuki then sang a gentle song to Eri, which calmed him down. All right, now we gotta get to class, Eri. Don't worry, the big 3 will look after you until we get back, said Akuro. Next thing they knew, the gender-bent big 3 entered the dorms. 8. You guys both look so cute, said Nijire. Hey, everyone, said female Mirio. Miria, said Eri as she ran over to the female Mirio and hugged her. Mirio's name is Miria Togata. Nijire's name is Nijira Hado. And Tamaki's name is Tamika Amajiki, said Luke. Plus, hey Eri. Ready to go, said Nijira. Yeah, said Eri. After that they all ate breakfast together before heading off to school. The screen then went to black. Luke then snapped his fingers and Mineta was back in the room. What did I miss? Asked Mineta. 7. None of your 𝗵𝗵𝗲 business, said Luke. Okay, now this one here is another simple one. Basically in this universe, boyfriends and girlfriends have swapped quirks. So Izuku and 𝗏𝗏𝗏 have each other's quirks, Shoto and Momo have each other's quirks, Kaminari and 𝗓𝗪 have each other's quirks, etc. Said Luke. Sounds interesting, said 𝗏𝗏𝗏. Alright, let's get started. Also, the events of the USJ incident are what you're gonna be seeing in this universe, said Luke as he pressed a button on his remote. It began with Class 1A arriving at the USJ where they were greeted by 13. Hello students. I'm 13. And welcome to the Unforeseen Simulation Joint, also known as the USJ. Said 13. Just like Universal Studios Japan, said the students. Suddenly the lights started flickering on and off. And a warp gate appeared at the bottom of the stairs. Whoa, you got fake villains too? Asked Mina. Those aren't fake villains. 13 protect the kids. Said Ms. Joke putting her goggles. I also ship Eraser Joke, so in this universe Aizawa and Ms. Joke have swapped quirks as well, said Luke. 3 yes, said Ms. Joke, while Aizawa just groaned. Ms. Joke rushed down to fight the villains, while multiple warp gates opened up around the students and they were pulled in. 𝗏𝗏𝗏, Tokoyami, and Mineta ended up in the water section. A villain was about to attack them both, but Tokoyami, who looked more frog-like, grabbed both her and Mineta and brought them up to the boat that was there. What do we do? Screamed Mineta. What are your quirks? Asked 𝗏𝗏𝗏. Now's not a good time to talk about quirks, Uraraka, said Tokoyami. No, I need to know so we can come up with a strategy to get out of here, said 𝗏𝗏𝗏. Okay. My quirk allows me to do pretty much anything a frog can, ribbit, said Tokoyami. Tokoyami and 𝗬𝗏 have also swapped quirks. 𝗬𝗏 is the controller of Dark Shadow. She's currently with Koda in the downpour zone, said Luke. And my quirk allows me to pull sticky ball off my head. But if I pull them off too much I start bleeding, said Mineta. I have an idea, said 𝗏𝗏𝗏. She then powered up One for All and flicked her fingers into the water, causing all the villains to go into the center. Like I said before, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 has Izuku's quirk, and Izuku has 𝗏𝗏𝗏's. In this universe 𝗏𝗏𝗏 was quirkless, but then she met All Might and got One for All. And then she got into UA by saving Izuku from the 0 pointer, said Luke. Quick, Mineta. Throw your sticky ball in there now, said 𝗏𝗏𝗏. Okay, said Mineta as he started throwing his ball in there, and the villains got all stuck together. Tokoyami, get us out of here, shouted 𝗏𝗏𝗏. You got it, said Tokoyami as he fired his tongue, grabbed 𝗏𝗏𝗏 and Mineta, and got them out of there. I think we passed the water area, said Tokoyami. Meanwhile, with Todoroki, Kaminari, and 𝗓𝗪, they were in the mountain zone surrounded by multiple villains. Todoroki, who was wearing a very revealing outfit, created a staff for himself and a sword for Kaminari, who had earphone jacks coming from his ears. The audience tried not to laugh from seeing Todoroki in such a revealing outfit. 1. Hey, don't I get a weapon? Asked 𝗓𝗪. You have your electricity quirk, said Todoroki. If I use it too much I go into a dummy phase, said 𝗓𝗪. Like I said before, 𝗓𝗪 and Kaminari have also swapped quirks, said Luke. Please tell me I'm not an idiot like him, said 𝗓𝗪. You're not. Kaminari's still the idiot. You do have a jamming way phase like your alternate counterpart said, but that's it, said Luke. The villains were about to attack them. Wait, I have an idea, said Todoroki as he created a massive tarp with his quirk. Oh, I remember this, said Momo. 𝗓𝗪, activate your quirk at full blast, said Todoroki. You got it, said 𝗓𝗪 as she charged up her quirk. Kaminari, under the tarp, said Todoroki. They got under the tarp while 𝗓𝗪 released a massive blast of electricity. Todoroki peeked underneath the tarp to see if it would work, and part of his costume was burned off. The villains were defeated, but then Kaminari noticed that part of Todoroki's costume was burned and his nipples were exposed. Dude, your nips, said Kaminari. It's fine. I can just create a new costume, said Todoroki. 𝗓𝗪 was walking around drooling with her thumbs up going, Don't look at him, said Kaminari as he moved in front of Todoroki so 𝗓𝗪 couldn't see his nipples. Why is he trying to cover up my nipples? Asked Todoroki. Well, in our universe the same thing happened with me at the USJ. My nipples were exposed and Jiro helped cover them up when Kaminari was walking around in his idiot phase, said Momo. I wish I was there for that, said Mineta before Todoroki blasted him with ice. Meanwhile in the ruins zone, Cammy and Mina were also fighting off a group of villains. Take this, fam, shouted Cammy as she blasted an explosion at some villains while Mina beat up some other villains with her hardened fists. Mina and Kirishima have also swapped quirks, so have Bakugo and Cammy. Mina can harden her skin while Kirishima can spay acid. Cammy can create explosions while Bakugo can create illusions. Bakugo's currently at Shiketsu and he and Cammy are yet to meet in this universe, explained Luke. To it then cut to Toru in the conflagration zone fighting villains. She was visible and had a tail. Toru and Ojiro have also swapped quirks. That's what you would look like if you weren't invisible, Toru. Minus the tail, obviously, said Luke. Oh my god, Toru, you look so cute, said Mina. It then cut to Izuku, 13, Kirishima, Shoji, Siro, Sato, and Mei back at the main entrance. Izuku made multiple villains float, then he released them and made them hit the ground hard. Like I said, Izuku has Ochako's quirk, explained Luke. 𝗏𝗧𝗵, go and get All Might and the others. We'll hold out for as long as we can, said 13. I'm on it, said Mei before leaving. Iida and Mei have also swapped places in this. Iida's part of the support department while Mei's the one whose family is full of ingeniums, explained Luke. Back with Ochako, Tokoyami, and Mineta. They had just arrived back at the center of the USJ where they saw Ms. Joke getting her butt kicked by the Nomu. Aizawa didn't say anything, but he was secretly worried for Ms. Joke in this universe. Shigaraki, that handsome girl, escaped. She's gonna be back with reinforcements soon, said Kurogiri. Well, 𝗧𝗏𝗃. We better hope All Might gets here soon so we can kill him, said Shigaraki. Shigaraki then saw the three students standing there and was about to kill Tokoyami, but then Ms. Joke stopped him. Only to get seriously injured by Shigaraki. Emi no, screamed Aizawa. You do care about me, Eraser, said Ms. Joke. Shut up, no I don't, said Aizawa while blushing slightly. Suddenly the doors burst open and in stepped All Might. It's fine now. Why? Because I am here, shouted All Might. The screen then went black. You all know the rest of the story, said Luke. Okay, another meme break, but this time it's all about guns, said Luke. What? Said everyone. This meme was made when it was Ochako's birthday in my world, said Luke. This meme was made when it was Ochako's birthday in my world, said Luke. Uraraka, you can not hold Midoriya at gunpoint and force him to have 𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 You cannot hold Midoriya at gunpoint and force him to have SXL Enderverse with you, shouted Iida doing his hand gestures. 5. Who the F made tie of me, screamed Bakugo. 4. Some real sick F on the internet, said Luke. Some real sick F on the internet, said Luke. 1. The students were now very terrified. Midoriya shooting Bakugo will not solve anything, shouted All Might. 2. Midoriya shooting Bakugo will not solve anything, shouted All Might. 29. Midoriya shooting Bakugo will not solve anything, shouted All Might. That's right, I won't, said Shigaraki. 2. Who's the ribbitch here, asked Sue, while everyone gasped at her swearing. Who's the ribbitch here, asked Sue, while everyone gasped at her swearing. Who's the ribbitch here, asked Sue, while everyone gasped at her swearing. 5. That's not how I deal with those kinds of villains, said Mike. 3. That's not how I deal with those kinds of villains, said Mike. 1. Why is my hand backwards, asked Ojiro. A simple mistake, said Luke. Back to normal memes everyone, said Luke. Back to normal memes everyone, said Luke. What the, said Koda. Koda, move your head down, said Todoroki. It's not true, said Koda in his defense. It's not true, said Koda in his defense. 16. This was an actual nightmare I had. It still haunts me, said Tokoyami. We all look good with shorter hair, said Kaminari. 8. We all look good with shorter hair, said Kaminari. 1. I don't. I'm bleeding, said Mineta. I don't. I'm bleeding, said Mineta. She did, honestly, said Ida. She did, honestly, said Ida. Said Shinso. You wouldn't get it, said Luke. You wouldn't get it, said Luke. 1. I don't either, said Ms. Joke. 1. Said Aizawa. That's right, said Koda. That's right, said Koda. This is so true, said Aizawa. This is so true, said Aizawa. This is so true, said Aizawa. Said Gran Torino, Recovery Girl, and Nizu. 3. Said Gran Torino, Recovery Girl, and Nizu. 1. What the, said Izuku and All Might. What the, said Izuku and All Might. You're all hot, said Mineta. This actually happened once. 5. This actually happened once. Kaken wouldn't stop laughing, said Izuku, while Bakugo started laughing again as he remembered that day. Kaken wouldn't stop laughing, said Izuku, while Bakugo started laughing again as he remembered that day. 1. I do own those pair of pants, yes, said Aizawa. 1. I do own those pair of pants, yes, said Aizawa. 1. Don't worry, Shinso. You'll be in the hero course in no time, said Aizawa. 1. Thank you, said Shinso. Thank you, said Shinso. Said Minoma. 1. You know you had to do it, Tim, said Luke. 4. What? Said Minoma again. 3. And I say 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻. Said Luke. 2. And I say 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻. Said Luke. 7. What? Said the audience. You wouldn't get it, said Luke. 3. These are all things I love, said Todoroki. 1. These are all things I love, said Todoroki. These are all things I love, said Todoroki. 2. Chuchuida, said Luke. What? Said Ida. We actually had a discussion about this. 35. We actually had a discussion about this. We've yet to try it, said Toga. 2. What? Screamed Izuku and Ochako. If Bakugo ever makes Deku say that word he will die, said Ochako, while Bakugo was now very scared. If Bakugo ever makes Deku say that word he will die, said Ochako, while Bakugo was now very scared. That's all I got for now, said Luke. Luke snapped his fingers and they were all back in the cafeteria. This time there were frog-themed birthday decorations everywhere. Happy birthday, Tsu, said Luke. Ribbit, said Tsu happily. They had a party, played games, sang Tsu happy birthday, and gave her a birthday cake. Here you go, dear, said Tokoyami as he handed Tsu a wrapped gift. Tsu opened it to see that it was a framed portrait of her and Tokoyami. I had Luke frame it for me, said Tokoyami. Things I do for you people, said Luke while lying face down on a couch. Tsu grabbed Tokoyami's beak with her tongue and pulled him in for a wet kiss, while Dark Shadow was giving a thumbs up at the whole thing. 1. Thank you, 𝗵𝗃𝐻𝐽, said Tsu. After that they went back to the theater. Okay, this next one is a short and funny one where Present Mike has invited Principal Nizu over to his house for lunch. But something goes terribly wrong, said Luke before pressing a button on his remote. 1. It began with Nizu ringing the doorbell to present Mick's house while holding a bottle of champagne. Mike answered the door wearing an apron. Well, Mike, I made it despite your directions, said Nizu. Ah, Principal Nizu, welcome. I hope you're prepared for an unforgettable luncheon, said Mike. What now? Asked Mike. Said Nizu as he entered the house and sat at the dining room table, while Mike entered the kitchen, only to see that there was smoke coming from his oven. He gasped and ran over to the oven. When he opened it, he saw his roast was completely burnt. Oh, egats. My roast is ruined, said Mike as he closed the over door. He then walked over to the window and saw an All Might-themed fast food restaurant across the street. Hey, All Might, isn't that one of your fast food restaurant joints that failed? Asked Izuku. Yes. A few years back they opened up a chain of All Might-themed restaurants called All Might Burger around Japan in my honor. But the restaurants weren't successful and were shut down not long after, explained All Might. Not in this universe. In this universe they were successful, said Luke. But what if I were to purchase fast food and disguise it as my own cooking, said Mike. Does he honestly think that will fool me, said Nizu. Oh, delightfully devilish, Hizashi, said Mike. Mike opened the window and took off his apron. He put his leg on the windowsill and was about to leave, when Nizu entered the kitchen and saw what Mike was doing. It then cut to a title card with Mike and Nizu's heads on it that said, Mike and the Principal, and it began a musical intro. Musical note present with his crazy explanations. Principal 𝗍𝗬's gonna need his medication. When he hears present's lame exaggerations, they'll be traveling down tonight. Musical note, said the singers as it showed clips of Mike driving 𝗍𝗬 crazy. 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗏, screamed 𝗍𝗬 as it cut back to them. What was with the musical intro? Asked 𝗍𝗬. It's a long story, said Luke. Principal. I was just stretching my calves on the windowsill. Isometric exercise. Care to join me? Asked Mike as he stretched his leg on the windowsill. Why is there smoke coming out of your oven, Mike? Asked 𝗍𝗬 pointing to Mick's oven. That isn't smoke. It's steam. Steam from the steamed clams we're having. Steamed clams? Said Mike rubbing his belly. One 𝗍𝗬 didn't say anything. He just glared at Mike, then left the kitchen. Mike wiped the sweat off his forehead. Phew, he said before climbing out the window and running across the street to All-Might Burger. Fast forward to 𝗍𝗬 sitting at the dining room table while tucking a napkin into his collar. Mike entered the room carrying a platter of burgers and fries. Principal 𝗍𝗬, I hope you're ready for mouth-watering hamburgers, said Mike. I thought we were having steamed clams, said 𝗍𝗬. No. I said steamed hams. That's what I call hamburgers, said Mike as he placed the platter down on the table. Steamed hams. Is he serious? Asked 𝗍𝗬. You call hamburgers steamed hams? Asked 𝗍𝗬 suspiciously. Yes. It's a regional dialect, said Mike. Huh? What region? Asked 𝗍𝗬. North Japan, said Mike. Really? Well, I'm from Hokkaido and I've never heard anyone use the phrase steamed hams, said 𝗍𝗬. Oh, not in Hokkaido, no. It's an Tohoku expression, said Mike. I see, said 𝗍𝗬. 𝗍𝗬 then took a bite out of a burger while Mike sipped a glass of champagne. You know these hamburgers are quite similar to the ones they have at All-Might Burger, said 𝗍𝗬 as he took off the top bun to look at the patty. Patented Yamada burgers. Old family recipe, said Mike. For steamed hams, said 𝗍𝗬. Yes, said Mike. Yes, and you call them steamed hams despite the fact they are obviously grilled, said 𝗍𝗬 showing the grilled patty to Mike. He's on to him now, said Kaminari. You know the one thing I should excuse me for one second, said Mike. Of course, said 𝗍𝗬 as he went back to eating his burger. Mike went back into the kitchen for a few seconds, which we could see was now on fire, then he came back into the dining room. Mike yawned. Well, that was wonderful. A good time was had by all. I'm pooped, said Mike. 𝗍𝗬 removed the napkin from his collar and looked at his watch. Yes, I should be. Good Lord, what is happening in there? Said 𝗍𝗬 quickly getting up and pointing to the kitchen since he noticed a bright orange light coming from the door when it was swinging closed. Aurora Borealis, said Mike quickly. Oh, Aurora Borealis. At this time of year. At this time of day. In this country. Localized entirely within your kitchen. Said 𝗍𝗬. Yes, said Mike smiling, even though he was lying. May I see it? Asked 𝗍𝗬. Mike thought about this for a moment. No, he said. The two then headed outside. Hizashi. The house is on fire. Screamed a woman from upstairs. Mike, is that your mom? Asked Aizawa. Yeah. What's she doing in this? Asked Mike. In this universe you still live with her, said Luke. Everyone else had to resist the urge to laugh. No, Mum, it's just the northern lights, said Mike. Plus, well, Mike, you are an odd fellow. But I must say you steam a good ham, said 𝗍𝗬 before turning around and walking away from Mick's house, which was now on fire. Help! Help! Screamed Mick's mom. 𝗍𝗬 turned back to Mike when he heard the screams, but Mike just gave him a thumbs up and a smile. 𝗍𝗬 then left, and it showed a fire truck with backdraft and a bunch of firemen on it racing towards Mick's house. The screen then went black. Many people were laughing, while 𝗍𝗬 was annoyed with his alternate self for being so dumb. To the cafe, said Luke. Another birthday? Asked Izuku. Nope, said Luke. They entered the cafeteria and saw tons of Valentine's Day decorations everywhere. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone, said Luke. After that they partied for a bit. Izuku and Ochako danced together, so did Todoroki and Momo, so did Mina and Kirishima, so did Toru and Ojiro, so did Tsu and Tokoyami, so did Ida and Mei, so did Bakugo and Kami, So did Eri and Koda, so did Tetsu and Kendo, and Aizawa and Ms. Joke also ended up dancing together. Kaminari and Jiro danced a little, but they mostly sang karaoke for the others. Izuku then noticed All Might dancing with his mom. All Might, what are you doing? Asked Izuku. Midoriya, there's something you should know, I'm dating your mother, said All Might. What? Screamed Izuku. Yes, Izuku. We started dating not long after you and Ochako did, said Inko. Why? Asked Izuku. During the Christmas party last month, your children told us that we were dating in their universe and that we should date in our universe too, explained All Might. So that's what they brought you into the theater for? Asked Izuku. Yes. And for another reason. But I'll tell you it later, said All Might. 5 After that all the couples danced while the others watched and filmed the whole thing. Man, I gotta get a girlfriend, said Luke while eating a slice of stuffed crust pepperoni pizza. 5 After that they all went back to the theater. Alright, we're gonna be returning to the 𝗵𝘃𝗧𝗏 universe. For those of you who are new here, let me explain. In this universe Izuku was the one born with a quirk, a combination of his parents' quirks called pyrokinesis, while Bakugo was the one who was diagnosed quirkless. But when All Might offered one for all to Izuku, he turned it down and told All Might to give it to Bakugo instead. So now the two of them are best friends who go to UA together. But instead of Bakugo being kidnapped by the League of Villains, it was Izuku. So now you're gonna see what happens next, said Luke pressing a button on his remote. It showed Bakugo at home sitting on his couch, still traumatized from the events of the training camp. I couldn't save him, I couldn't save my closet friend, said Bakugo as he looked up at the ceiling. Suddenly, his phone started ringing. He pulled it out and answered it. Yeah, he said. Bakugo, it's Kirishima. Listen, I think I've found a way to rescue Midoriya, said Kirishima. What are you talking about? The pros have it under control, said Bakugo. I know that. But just meet me and the others at the hospital. You're gonna want to hear this, said Kirishima. Alright, I'm on my way, said Bakugo before hanging up. After that Bakugo went to the hospital where his classmates were there waiting for him. Alright, Kirishima. Why did you call us here? Asked Bakugo. As you know, Yaoyuzu managed to place a tracking device on one of the Nomis at the training camp before it escaped. I think we should follow it and go rescue Midoriya, said Kirishima. That is against the law and we are not doing that, said Ida. Yeah. If we go without licenses then we're no better than villains, said Tsu. I'm in, said Bakugo. What? Said Ida. Me too, said Todoroki. So am I, said Momo. I'm also coming, said Ochako. Oh well of course you are, said Ida. Uraraka, you can't go and just break the law because of your personal feelings, said Ida. 8, 4 Eyes. I couldn't save Deku at the training camp, and I'm sure as hell not gonna make the same mistake again, said Bakugo. Ida then lost his temper and punched Bakugo in the face. Oh you wanna go for eyes, shouted Bakugo as he powered up One for All. Calm down. Let's not fight over this, said Ochako. Very well. If I can't stop you, then I might as well come with you to make sure things don't get too out of hand, said Ida. After that the 6 of them headed off to the location. When they got there they hid behind a wall, and then the building got destroyed and All Might's fight with All for One began. Fast forward to near the end of the fight the League was closing in on Izuku. Stay back, you creeps, said Izuku as he ignited his fists in fire. Another thing for those of you who are new here. In this universe Izuku has more of a temper, since he doesn't like it when people mess with Bakugo. It's the whole reason why the League kidnapped him in the first place. They thought they could take advantage of his anger, just like how they thought they could with Bakugo in your universe, explained Luke. We have to get him out of there, said Bakugo. Ochako made her, Ida, and Bakugo weightless, and Ida used his engines and Bakugo used full cowl to launch them all into the air above Izuku. Deku, grab on, shouted Bakugo as he reached his hand out to him. Izuku used his fire to launch himself into the air right before the League could grab him, and he grabbed onto Bakugo's hand. What the hell are you guys doing here? Said Izuku. You're a friend. We couldn't just let you die, said Ochako. I failed to save you once before, I wasn't gonna make the same mistake again, said Bakugo. Well thanks, Kaken, said Izuku. At least this version of you didn't let his pride get to him, Katsuki, said Mitsuki. Shut up, old hag, screamed Bakugo. After that All Might defeated All for One and pointed to the camera as Izuku, Bakugo, and the others watched. Next it's your turn, he said, clearly referring to Bakugo, who started crying. After that they brought Izuku to the police for questioning, and they all went home. The screen then cut to black. I might show you people more of this universe later, said Luke. Okay, we're gonna be returning to the Sword Art Online universe. We're gonna be fast-forwarding a little while later in the story. Basically, Ochako asked the leader of the Knights of the BLD Oath, Commander 𝗵𝗃𝗄, to allow her to take a leave of absence from the guild. 𝗵𝗃𝗄 said no, so Izuku challenged him to a duel. If Izuku won, Ochako got to take a leave of absence. If 𝗵𝗃𝗄 won, Izuku had to join the Knights of the BLD Oath. Izuku lost. So now he's joined them, said Luke pressing a button on his remote. It began with Izuku and Ochako in a room. Izuku was now wearing a white and red variant of his normal costume. Don't you guys have uniforms that aren't so flashy? Asked Izuku. Actually, that's one of our less flashy ones, said Ochako, who was sitting on a stool. Ochako giggled. You look great, she said. Izuku just sighed and fell onto the bed. I'm in a guild, he groaned. Why do I have a problem with being in a guild? Asked Izuku. Keep watching and you'll see, said Luke. I guess it's sort of my fault, isn't it? Said Ochako. No, this is a good opportunity. As a solo player I got as far as I could go, said Izuku. That makes me feel a little better, said Ochako as Izuku sat up. Hey Dad, why do you avoid guilds and people? I hope you don't mind my asking, asked Ochako. Yeah, why? Asked Ochako. I mean, it's not because you're a beta tester or because you have unique skills, is it? You do care about people, said Ochako. Beta tester? Asked Izuku. You were one of the few people to play the beta version of Sword Art Online. So that means you have more experience than others, said Luke. Izuku looked down. It was a long time ago, about a year or so. Up to now, that was the only guild I was in. It was small, including me there was 6 of us in it. They called themselves the Moonlit Black Cats, said Izuku. It then showed flashes of Izuku with the Moonlit Black Cats. As players, they were good. But their levels were way lower than mine. And I thought if I told them what my level was, they wouldn't have wanted me around. So I decided to keep my mouth shut about it, and I joined up with them. I'd watched them messing around having fun, and I guess I wanted to be part of that, too, said Izuku. He just wanted to fit in with them, said Ida. Izuku lowered his head even more. Then one day, he said. It then showed Izuku and most of his teammates in a dungeon, surrounded by enemies, and we hear an alarm going off. It then showed Izuku's teammates being killed by the enemies, as Izuku explained to Ochako what happened that day. They went into a dungeon, and they entered a room Izuku was already in during his beta testing. He knew it was a trap, but he didn't say anything because he didn't want them to know he was a beta tester, or beater as they call it. So they all died because he didn't say anything, explained Luke. Ochako looked at Izuku in complete shock. I'm the reason the guild was wiped out. If I hadn't hidden the fact that I was a beater, I could have convinced them how dangerous that trap really was. I killed them. Sachi, all of them, said Izuku. Ochako stood up, walked over to Izuku, cupped his face, sat next to him on the bed, and looked him in the eyes for a few seconds. I'm not gonna die, got that? Said Ochako. Izuku was speechless. I can't die because I have to protect you, she said. She then leaned her face closer to his, and then she hugged him. Man, I thought they were gonna kiss, said Mina. I know, right? Said Luke. Izuku was about to hug her too, but he just left his hands at his sides. It then skipped to Izuku and Ochako sitting in a room at the Knights of the BLD Oath HQ while talking to Vlad King, who was also wearing a Knights of the BLD Oath uniform. I gotta train, asked Izuku. That's right. You, me, and one other guy are gonna form a party. Then we're all gonna go clear the dungeon on this floor, said Vlad. Vlad King's also a part of the Knights of the BLD Oath, said Luke. 2? Makes sense, said Vlad King. Ochako sat up. Hold on, Vlad. Deku and I are already in dash. I can't do anything about it, ma'am. Besides, as second in command you know we can't ignore the rules. If he's gonna be joining us, then it's my job as commander of the front lines to take the kid out and evaluate his skills, said Vlad. But that's ridiculous. He doesn't need evaluation. He's stronger than you, said 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏. Izuku sighed. Kid, in 30 minutes I want to see you at the western gate, said Vlad, raising his fist in the air. Vlad then left the room laughing. 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 sighed. We finally had a chance to be alone, she said with her head down. Izuku got up and patted her on the head. I'll be back soon. Think you can wait for me? He asked. Just be careful, said 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏. Izuku nodded. It then cut to Izuku outside on his way to go meet up with Vlad and whoever else he was joining up with. He saw Vlad up ahead at the entrance to the base, but then he saw Vlad pull a familiar-looking person into view. Figured, we're waiting for you, shouted Vlad. Wait, is that? Said Kendo. When Izuku got closer, he realized that it was Monoma as an adult, who had a look of regret on his face. Finally. More screen time, said Monoma. 2, are you serious? Said Izuku. Yep. Look at it this way, we're all in the same guild, so I figured now's a good time as any for you guys to bury the hatchet, said Vlad, laughing. Monoma took a few steps closer to Izuku. About the other day, I apologize for my behavior. I was rude to you, and I promise it won't happen again, said Monoma, bowing to him. Yeah. Sure, said Izuku. What happened? Asked Monoma. You were assigned to 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 as her bodyguard, but she kept trying to escape you because you were basically stalking her. Izuku challenged you to a duel to get you to leave her alone. He ended up winning and you were humiliated in front of a whole crowd of people who were watching, explained Luke. Alright, ladies, time to focus. Today, I'll be checking out how you react to dangerous situations. So I'm gonna need you to hand over all the crystals in your storage, said Vlad. Even my teleport crystals? Asked Izuku. Said Vlad. Teleport crystals are what players use to teleport to different parts of the game, explained Luke. Monoma handed Vlad all of his crystals. Izuku wasn't comfortable with handing over all his crystals, but he did so anyway. Yeah, okay, said Izuku as he handed Vlad all of his crystals. Awesome. Now, let's go clear a dungeon, shouted Vlad, raising his fist in the air. Yay, said Izuku and Monoma in monotone voices as they raised their fists in the air slightly. It then cut to the three of them walking through a canyon. This looks like a good place to take a break, said Vlad King. Izuku and Monoma sat down on some rocks. Chow time, ladies, said Vlad as he opened his menu and summoned 2 bags. He tossed one to Monoma and one to Izuku. Izuku opened his and thought he saw one of 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏's sandwiches in there. He then had a vision of 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 lifting the sandwich in front of him. Say, ah, she said. But it cut back to reality as Izuku saw that it was just a plain old rice cake in the bag. What was that all about? Asked 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏. You're a hell of a good cook in this. And Izuku misses you and your delicious sandwiches, explained Luke. Izuku sighed, then pulled out his bottle of water and drank it. He then turned to see Monoma chuckling with an evil grin on his face, and he wasn't eating or drinking any of his meal. This doesn't look good, said Mina. Yeah, I'm just gonna go and teleport the kids to the kids' room real quick, said Luke as he snapped his fingers and Eri, Koda, Katsuma, and Mahoro were gone. Izuku then realized that the water was poisoned and threw it. When the drink hit the ground, it shattered into particles, or whatever it is you call them. Izuku fell backwards and saw that his HP was dropping. He also saw Vlad King collapse onto the ground, since he was also poisoned. Monoma, what did you do? Said Tetsu. We've been poisoned, said Izuku in his head. Monoma then got up and started laughing like a deranged psychopath. The hell's going on? You packed the water, Monoma. What did you do? You 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗏, said Vlad weakly. Antidote crystals. Hurry, said Izuku weakly. Vlad pulled out an antidote crystal, but Monoma kicked it away. Poor, sad old Vlad. I always knew you were a colossal idiot. But this proves you're even dumber than I thought, said Monoma. What the hell, Monoma, said Vlad. Other me, sir, said Monoma in his defense. For Monoma then pulled out his sword. Don't do this, groaned Vlad. Monoma then swung his sword down into Vlad's back. As Vlad's health began to drop, He said. The crystal above 𝗵𝗲𝗲's head turned from green to orange. No. Stop it, said Vlad in pain as 𝗵𝗲𝗲 pulled the sword out of his back. Here's my plan. Our party was walking along, and then he swung the sword down into Vlad's back again. We were attacked by this gang of criminal players who appeared out of nowhere, said 𝗵𝗲𝗲 as he swung his sword down onto Vlad again. You both fought hard, but you were killed in battle. It was just me against all of them, and, somehow, I courageously and single-handedly fought them all off, said 𝗵𝗲𝗲 as he cackled maniacally and swung his sword down on Vlad yet again. Izuku could only watch in horror as 𝗵𝗲𝗲 kept swinging his sword down on Vlad, leaving glowing red marks everywhere. And then, 𝗵𝗲𝗲 slammed the tip his sword down into Vlad's back while screaming like an animal. Mr. Vlad, no! Screamed Class 1B, 𝗵𝗲𝗲 UFB. Screamed 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 in 𝗵𝗲𝗲's face. 5, you're F dead, boo, screamed 𝐒𝐽𝐽𝐬𝐧. Other me! Screamed 𝗵𝗲𝗲 in tears. 6, Vlad screamed as 𝗵𝗲𝗲 jammed the sword even deeper into his back. And then he died. His whole body shattered into particles. 𝗵𝗲𝗲 then turned to Izuku with a psychotic smile on his face. Izuku tried to get up, but couldn't. You know, I just killed an innocent bystander because of you. How am I gonna live with myself? Said 𝗵𝗲𝗲 as he approached Izuku. From over here, you looked like you were having a blast doing it. Why the hell would a guy like you join the Knights of the BLD Oath? You'd be more at home with one of the criminal guilds, said Izuku. Yeah, he would, said Kendo. What an interesting observation. You have sharp eyes, said 𝗵𝗲𝗲 as he opened his menu and removed his left sleeve. Izuku's eyes widened and he gasped when he saw what was on his arm. You're with 𝗵𝗃𝗄𝐿, the murder guild, said Izuku in shock. You're with 𝗵𝗃𝗄𝐿, the murder guild, said Izuku in shock. 𝗵𝗃𝗄𝐿, said Kendo. They're a group of psychotic murders who kill for fun. 𝗵𝗲𝗲's secretly a part of them, Luke explained. That's where I got the skills to paralyze BSTRDS like you. Where's my head? Said 𝗵𝗲𝗲 as he put his sleeve back on. I better stop talking or the poison will wear off. And we wouldn't want that. Time to finish you off for good, said 𝗵𝗲𝗲 as he jabbed his sword into Izuku's wrist. Midoriya no! Screamed Class 1. Izuku screamed in pain as 𝗵𝗲𝗲 moved the sword around a bit. The poison's not wearing off, said Izuku in his head as 𝗵𝗲𝗲 pulled the sword out of his wrist. 𝗵𝗲𝗲 then jabbed the sword down into Izuku's thigh. How's it feel? Come on. I want to know how it feels, knowing you're about to die like a dog, said 𝗵𝗲𝗲 as he moved the sword around in Izuku's thigh. Oh yeah, you are so dead, 𝗵𝗲𝗲, said Kendo. Ah, come on, said 𝗵𝗲𝗲. Izuku didn't say anything. What? Is your tongue paralyzed too? Said 𝗵𝗲𝗲. Izuku saw that his HP was dropping even more now. Is this it? Said Izuku in his head. He then remembered when Melissa died. Is this where I'm gonna die? He said in his head, come on now. It's your last chance to say something. You really are going to die, said 𝗵𝗲𝗲 as he pulled the sword out of Izuku's thigh. 𝗵𝗲𝗲 then jabbed his sword down into Izuku's stomach. Izuku saw that he had very little HP left. Izuku closed his eyes, ready to die. But when he did, he saw a vision of Ochako, and he realized that he couldn't die now. He needed to get back to her. He opened his eyes, and grabbed the blade and weakly tried to pull it out. 𝗵𝗲𝗲 noticed this. Why do you keep struggling? Are you afraid of dying after all? Said 𝗵𝗲𝗲. No, I'm just not ready yet, said Izuku weakly. 𝗵𝗲𝗲 laughed again. Is that so? That's the way I like it, said 𝗵𝗲𝗲 with another psychotic look on his face as he pushed the sword down more. Izuku desperately tried to get the sword out, and he saw that he had barely any HP left. Die. Die. Die! Screamed 𝗵𝗲𝗲. Izuku was almost dead, when suddenly it showed the first-person view of someone moving quickly through the canyons, and then running up to 𝗵𝗲𝗲 and blasting him back into a wall in a flash of green light. What just happened? Asked Izuku. Keep watching, said Luke. Izuku looked up to see that it was Ochako. She went over to Izuku and pulled out a healing crystal. Heal, she said, and the crystal disappeared and Izuku's HP bar was refilled. I made it. I made it in time. Thank God. I made it, said 𝗳𝗏𝗄 in tears as Izuku looked up to her. I was tracking your position on the map the whole time. And then I saw Vlad disappear. I got worried something happened. But you're alive. I'm not dreaming, am I? Asked 𝗳𝗏𝗄 in tears. You're not, said Izuku. Minoma then got up, and 𝗳𝗏𝗄 turned her head and glared at him. Hang on. I'll finish this, said 𝗳𝗏𝗄 standing up. One, kick his butt, Uraraka, shouted Kirishima. 𝗳𝗏𝗄 walked over to Minoma and pulled out her rapier. Minoma started to panic. 𝗳𝗏𝗄, I can explain everything. We were just training when all of a sudden, there was this dash, but then 𝗳𝗏𝗄 cut his right cheek with her rapier. Minoma stumbled back. 𝗬𝗵𝗍𝑢, shouted Minoma as he swung his sword at her, but 𝗳𝗏𝗄 ducked under it. 𝗳𝗏𝗄 then unleashed a flurry of strikes on Minoma, covering him in glowing red marks. Minoma screamed as his health started going way down. Minoma dropped his sword and put his hands in the air. I give up. I surrender. Please don't kill me, begged Minoma as he dropped to his knees. I'll leave the guild. You'll never see me again. I promise. Please, cried Minoma. Coward, said everyone, minus Minoma. 𝗳𝗏𝗄 was about to jab her rapier down onto Minoma. I don't want to die, screamed Minoma as he buried his face into the ground. 𝗳𝗏𝗄 was about to stab him, but stopped herself. Minoma then chucked and grabbed his sword and knocked 𝗳𝗏𝗄's rapier away. The oldest trick in the book. And you fell for it, Beach, said Minoma as he was about to swing his sword down on her. 𝗳𝗏𝗄 no, screamed Izuku. But then, Izuku blocked Minoma's attack with his left arm, cutting off his virtual hand. Minoma was shocked by this, and then Izuku's right hand started glowing yellow, and he punched it right through Minoma's chest. Finally, said Bakugo. Minoma's HP then went all the way down. God 𝗬𝗵𝗍𝑢. You murdered me, whispered Minoma before his whole body disappeared into particles. Izuku then collapsed to his knees. All right, I'll bring the kids back now, said Luke, snapping his fingers. 𝗳𝗏𝗄 walked over to Izuku and sat down on her knees behind him. She was gonna grab his hand, but didn't. I'm sorry. This was all my fault, wasn't it? Whimpered 𝗳𝗏𝗄 with her head down. Don't think that, 𝗳𝗏𝗄, said Izuku. 𝗳𝗏𝗄 started crying as we see tears land on her hand in front of her. Izuku turned his head to her. 𝗳𝗏𝗄, he said. I'm sorry. But I should stay away from you, said 𝗳𝗏𝗄 with tears running down her round cheeks. For your sake, she said. Izuku grabbed 𝗳𝗏𝗄's shoulder with his remaining hand and pulled her in for a kiss. Never gets old seeing them kiss, said Mina. 𝗳𝗏𝗄 was shocked at first, but she soon gave in to the kiss. After a few moments, Izuku broke from the kiss, then rested his head on 𝗳𝗏𝗄's chest. 𝗳𝗏𝗄, my life belongs to you. I'll give it up for you. I want to stay with you until the end, said Izuku. And I promise I'm do anything to protect you too. Forever, no matter what. I swear, said 𝗳𝗏𝗄. I'll do everything I can to make sure you get back to the real world, said Izuku. Izuku then looked up at her. 𝗳𝗏𝗄, could I stay with you for the night? He asked. 𝗳𝗏𝗄 blushed, but then she smiled and nodded. She said. Before anyone says anything. Izuku meant he wanted to have dinner with her, not section. 𝗳𝗏𝗄 doesn't realize that though. But now we're gonna fast forward to after all that, said Luke, pressing the fast forward button on his remote. It then showed 𝗳𝗏𝗄 sleeping in bed with a blanket covering herself up. Izuku sat the edge of the bed and smiled at her, then poked her cheek, waking her up. She turned to Izuku and smiled. Hey, what ya smiling about? Asked Izuku. I was just having a dream about my old life. It was weird. In the dream I had everything in 𝗵𝗃𝗏, everything that happened, and meeting you was just that, a dream. And I was so scared. But it wasn't. Thanks God it wasn't, said 𝗳𝗏𝗄. Now that sounds weird. Don't you want to go back? Asked Izuku. Of course I do. I do. It's just, I don't want my life here to disappear, is all. The last 2 years have been very special to me. I realize that now, said 𝗳𝗏𝗄. 𝗳𝗏𝗄 then sat up while still covering herself up with the blanket. Listen. I was thinking maybe we could leave the front lines for a while, said 𝗳𝗏𝗄. What? Said Izuku. I'm scared. I feel like if we return to the battlefield now, something bad's gonna happen again. Or maybe I'm just tired of it all, said 𝗏𝗧𝗏. I know what you mean. I guess I am too, said Izuku as he looked out the window. There was a moment of silence. In the southwest of floor 22, there's this tiny little village by a lake and a forest. We could get a house together. And then, said Izuku. And then what? Asked 𝗏𝗧𝗏. Then, he turned to look at her. We get married, he said. In the game, 2 players can get married if they want to, not actual marriage, but still, Luke explained to the audience. 𝗏𝗧𝗏 was shocked at this, but then tears of joy started to form in her eyes. Okay, she said. The screen then went to black, but not before the audience heard this song. Plus, you'll be seeing more SO later, said Luke. Okay, this next universe is very disturbing. So now I'm gonna send the kiddies over to the kiddie room, said Luke, snapping his fingers. What's it about? Asked All Might. You're just gonna have to see, said Luke as he pulled out his remote and pressed a button. It began with the remains of the UA entrance. That was all that remained of the building, just the dented logo of the school and a little bit of the front gate. What happened to UA? Asked Nizu in concern. Keep watching, said Luke. The camera zoomed out to show that it wasn't just UA that had been destroyed, it was all of Multiverse. The whole city had been obliterated. What happened? Screamed everyone. Keep watching, said Luke again. It then showed a news report of what happened. It showed a picture of the remains of Multiverse, and it said, Multiverse destroyed, millions dead. Oh my god, said Momo, putting her hands over her mouth. What sick BSTRD would do this, said Ida. Keep friggin' watching, said Luke. 40. It then showed people all over the world watching the news in horror. Then it cut to outside a heavily guarded interrogation room, where we hear a psychotic laughter inside. It then showed that the laughter belonged to none other than an older Shigaraki, who was being interrogated by an adult Ida. You have a freaky laugh, dude, said Dabi. No, I don't, said Shigaraki. Ida slammed his hands down on the table in front of Shigaraki. The nuke. Where'd you get it? Demanded Ida. So it was Shigaraki who killed all those people, said Mina. UBSTRD, said Kaminari. Hey, at least this version of me managed to succeed against you brats, said Shigaraki. What? You want one? 𝗵𝘃𝗲 copycat, said Shigaraki. One Ida screamed in rage and grabbed Shigaraki and lifted him in the air, when suddenly the wall burst open and in came an adult Izuku, who was wearing a cape and was now flying. Holy CRP Midoriya can fly now, said Kirishima. It seems he's managed to turn Nana's quirk, said All Might in his head. Izuku had a look of pure rage on his face, and his eyes were glowing green for a moment. Get away from him, Izuku said to Ida. I'm handling this, said Ida. Izuku walked over to Shigaraki, then threw the table out of the way. He then grabbed Shigaraki and slammed him into the interrogation room mirror. You drugged me. Made me. Izuku then put his head down. 𝗏𝗧𝗏, my son, he said. What is he taking about? Asked Momo. Well, you see, it wasn't exactly Shigaraki who destroyed Multiverse, it was technically Izuku, said Luke. What? Said the audience in horror. Yeah. You see, in this universe, Izuku and 𝗏𝗧𝗏 were married and 𝗏𝗧𝗏 was PR'd with Toshi. But then Shigaraki drugged Izuku and made him hallucinate, thinking that 𝗏𝗧𝗏 was muscular. When the drag wore off, Izuku realized that it wasn't muscular he had brutally beaten up, it was his wife and he had killed her along with their baby. And to make things worse, Shigaraki linked 𝗏𝗧𝗏's heart to the nuclear bomb in Multiverse. So when her heart stopped beating, it triggered the bomb and killed everyone in Multiverse, including Eri, since she was there in the city at UA as a student there. So Izuku lost his wife, and both his children that day, explained Luke. Dear God, no, said All Might. UFBSTD. Screamed Izuku as he lunged at Shigaraki and started choking him, while the others had to pull him away. 12. Oh, it's okay. I'm right here, said 𝗏𝗧𝗏 as she hugged Izuku, calming him down. For people you love tend to blow up, don't they? Shigaraki mocked. One Izuku pulled his fist back. Deku don't, said Ida. Izuku then punched his fist next to Shigaraki's head. Shigaraki put his hand on Izuku's shoulder. That's why I like you, Deku. You're much more gullible than. He then turned his head to Iida. Izuku then threw Shigaraki into the table on the other side of the room. Shigaraki slowly got up. You think you can have a family? That locking me up will magically reform me. And they'll be safe, said Shigaraki as he walked over to his chair, put it back up, and sat back down in it. So big, so dumb, said Shigaraki before laughing some more. This just made Izuku more angry. Now run along so I can break out of here. I've got lots of planning to do to top this, said Shigaraki. Izuku then grabbed Shigaraki by the throat with his right arm and lifted him into the air. That's enough, said Iida as he tried to stop Izuku, but Izuku just grabbed him and threw him back. I know it soon, but think you'll ever love again. Maybe you won't kill your next family, Shigaraki mocked. Jesus, Tommy. I know I'm training you to be the world's most evil villain and all, but even that's a little too messed up, said All for One. Izuku finally snapped. He powered up One for All in his left arm and was about to punch Shigaraki through the chest, but right before we could see Izuku's fist go through him, the screen cut to black while the audience heard Shigaraki's laughter and then his screams. Did I just die? Asked Shigaraki. We literally just heard you screaming. He punched his whole arm through your chest and out your back, said Luke. The screen stayed black. After that, Izuku decided to make sure something as horrible as 𝗵𝗃 never happened again. So he started up an evil world government called the Regime. They ruled the world and killed anyone who stood in their way. As for Iida, he had formed a group of resistance fighters called the Insurgency to combat Izuku and his forces. Some of you guys joined Izuku, some of you joined Iida, and some of you are dead because you were in 𝗵𝗃 when it blew up, or because Izuku killed you for defying him, explained Luke. Do we ever stop him? Asked Iida. Eventually. After 5 years you managed to summon an alternate version of you guys from another universe to fight Izuku and the Regime, but that's a story for another day, said Luke. 7. I hope this universe serves as a lesson to you all. Killing is always a last resort, even if a villain kills someone close to you. Because if you kill them then you're no better than they are. Understood, said Nizu to the students. 16. Yes, sir, said the UA students.